Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thanks for joining me. Happy Friday. Hopefully you guys are doing well. We're going to be doing live readings on the channel this evening. If you guys can see me, give me a thumbs up. Like the stream. You guys can share this out also. It's really helpful. Give everybody a couple minutes for them to kind of check in. How's your guys' Friday going? Every single time. I always think I turn it off and I don't. So we're going to be doing live tarot. If you guys are a member, you guys can cash in on your reading. If this is your first time here, it's nice to see you. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Friday night. We're doing readings by donation. So we're doing 1 and 3 card readings. $20 donation for 1 card, $40 for a 3-card spread. Ask whatever you want. To get into the queue and get a reading, there's a QR code right here. So if you're watching this on your computer or desktop, you can scan the QR code. It'll take you to my PayPal. You can make a donation. Please make sure that you include your question in the memo box. Put any information that you want regarding your reading. And then let me know if you have made a donation and if your name differs from PayPal to YouTube, because sometimes people have different names. How's it going? Let's see who's here. What's up, Das, DH, Yolette, Deana, Sacred Secrets, Jamie, and JB. Somebody says, hello, do you take Venmo? Well, we do not take Venmo. We take PayPal, or we take, what is it that we have on here? Super Chat. What's up, Exalta? Is that how you say your name? Welcome to level 3. But if you guys want to make a donation via PayPal or Super Chat, you can. You can do it somehow through here. What's up, Jennifer? Jennifer says, hey, from Hawaii. What's up, Matt? Hey, Queen. All right, so how's everybody doing? How are you guys doing post-eclipse? Next week, we're going to have astrology. So if you're here and you're wanting an astrology reading, we're doing tarot tonight. But stay tuned. Make sure that you see where we have the sign up for next week. I'm not really sure what day we're going to do that. I guess I should have thought about that before I told you guys on the internet. But let's see, the 27th. Yeah, we'll be here. So it's going to be next Friday. We're going to do astrology. So it'll be just before the eclipses. So if you are level 3 and you're wanting to cash in, you're welcome to cash in. Is there anybody who's level 3 here? Dawn is Sacred Secrets. Thank you. You have so many secrets, Dawn. Thanks, Jennifer. What's up, Deana? Okay, so I'll give you guys a roll call for who I have. If you're not aware, I have memberships. So if you guys like my content, you want to join my memberships, you can support me by being a full-time content creator. You can go to my YouTube, go to my community page, or go to my, I think it's my memberships page actually, and you can sign up. If you just want to donate and get on the basic level, you can. If you guys want to get in the level 3, my level 3 people, they donate, they get a shout out, but also you guys are going to get a reading once a month. And it's an affordable way to stay in touch with me and get a reading regularly. Okay, so here's who I have so far. We've got Jessica, Valentine, Deana, Laverne, Rachel, Vanessa, Malia, Dawn. And if you guys pop in, we'll leave this open for a little bit. Looks like Jamie got in there too. Jamie, let me know what your question is. And you guys feel free to put whatever info you want in your memo box, but this will be for tarot. No level 3 people here? Okay, no worries. If you guys can, give me a thumbs up, hit the like button. It helps let other people know that we're going live. All right, so we'll take Jessica, and then we've got Valentine, and then we're gonna have Alexandria or Deana, and we'll kind of go from there. So if you guys send in a donation, just let me know. What's up, Stella? This is Leo here. Loud and proud. All right, so let's talk to Jessica. What's up, Jessica? She says, my YouTube name is JB. This is my account. What I want to know is whether or not a job opportunity has presented itself to my husband is the way we should go. He travels a lot for work. We travel with him. He has several options for the winter, But this option seems almost like a level up for his career. However, there are other things attached to this option that I don't know if it's for our best interest. Thank you so much. I love the channel. All right, cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. So it sounds like husband got a job offer, wondering if you should take the offer, and you're wondering whether or not it's in your best interest, but it would level up his career. So let's see what the cards say for you in regards to that. Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate it. Oh my goodness. Well, this is one of those situations where sometimes an extra card sneaks in, so that definitely happened. So we've got the Chariot, the Queen of Swords, the Knight of Wands, and then this was the bonus card that popped out, the Knight of Swords. Okay, so a couple things. You know, the Chariot being the first card that pops up in the reading for you tells me that making the shift into this job would impact a lot of other things, all right? So it's funny because the Chariot is a card that does deal with traveling, but sometimes this can be a card that deals with like changes on the home front, relocations, things revolving around changing the frequency in how you would travel. This is a card that deals with Cancer as well, so I don't know if he has any Cancer placements, if he's got like a sun, moon, or rising, or if you're paying attention to where the eclipses are in his chart, but it can be referencing this point. I feel like the Chariot is maybe saying in the past position, like there has been a change that's rapidly approaching, like he's been anticipating having a job change, or he's been looking for a shift in some way. Maybe there's been some sense of feeling like he's been traveling so much that there hasn't been an opportunity to really kind of get settled and make a decision about where he sees himself going in the long term. So in the past position, it means that things have been constantly fluctuating and kind of moving. And so maybe it's been leading to this point where he's like, you know what, I don't really feel so settled or grounded, like I want to make a change. The Queen of Swords crossed with the Knight of Swords makes me feel like there's definitely been a lot of back and forth conversation about the pros and the cons of this particular job. I do feel like in a way, because you're coming up here, you know, the Queen can represent somebody who is saying, you know, like, you know, here's what I think, what do you think? And he may be leaving it up to you, because the Queen is kind of like the higher ranking, I guess, trump card compared to the two Knights. I feel like this is really like the ball is in your court. Like it's more like, are you willing to go along with the changes that might potentially be taking place? For me, it seems like the Knight of Swords being the extra card is the fact that you guys might have to make decisions like on a dime. Like, you know, if you do decide to take this job, he would have to like give notice very quickly. It would affect a lot of other things. He would have to quickly jump into this other role. To me, it seems like he's up to it. Okay, like he's capable, but there is a sense of checking in with you, being like, okay, it's going to affect, you know, the family, the home life, this, that, and the other. Like, are you going to be okay with the way that we're going to go through this change? So communication is key right now. I do feel like there is a lot of the Knight taking orders from the Queen. So it's also kind of saying like, does he have your support in making this shift, right? Obviously, I can see the pros and cons because there's not any coins coming up. There's not any cups coming up. Like it's basically saying if you make the decision, you're making the decision with the understanding that you'd have to go through some challenges, but there might be some opportunities on the other side. Now, the Knight of Wands comes up. So that is a card that comes up for career changes. It is about kind of, you know, blazing new trails, doing something different than what he's done in the past. It does seem like it could be exciting. It does seem also like it would give him the opportunity to kind of tap into other talents that he has. It's interesting that Knights for me are cards that still deal with travel. So I'm wondering, do you mind expanding on how this would be any different? Would he still be traveling, just not as frequently? Would he be traveling farther? Would he have to be somewhere every so often, but would he have more time at home? Because to me, it seems like he's still going to have some aspect of freedom and spontaneity within this position. I don't see him being totally grounded. If at the very least, it's creatively. But I also wonder if the Knight of Wands coming up with the Knight of Swords is kind of saying, this is an opportunity that's presented itself, but another one is going to come. Because this is the right now. So it's kind of like, do we take it? Do we do this? Do we not? And then the Knight of Wands can actually indicate that there's going to be another potential offer or another potential opportunity. Which, you know, I could see with the Swords being like, we have to talk about it and kind of think it through before we make a move, because it's definitely going to come with some challenges. But then the Knight of Wands is kind of saying like, it might be an offer that comes in that's like, it's a no-brainer, you know, of course I should kind of do this. confirmation card that I got on the bottom is the Ace of Swords. So it's basically saying, look, either way, there's going to be a job change. Okay, that like let's just cut to the chase. That's what's going to happen. Oh, okay, cool. So he's a Cancer rising. So being a Cancer rising, then, you know, the eclipses that are happening are in his 10th house, which means the change is going to happen very quickly. He's going to have another opportunity that's going to come in the spring. So when you see, you know, all these planets move through his 10th house, you know, March, April, that may be another opportunity. Equally, there's going to be a Mercury retrograde that's going to be in his 6th house in December. So if you guys decide to pass on this opportunity, another one's going to come, but likely you're going to see he's still going to give his notice, or he's still going to change departments, or he's still going to transfer. Like, that change is coming. What did you say? It's farther, he would have more time. Okay. The other thing to take into consideration is that the Ace of Swords is also talking about negotiations, contracts, something that he might sign, some terms that he might agree to. So I do wonder if it's like him going back and forth and like negotiating, because if you feel like, okay, it's a good opportunity, but it's going to come with some kind of, you know, challenge, it being further, could there be room for negotiation where, you know, maybe he can do some hybrid, or maybe they're willing to kind of like, you know, change on his salary and give him a little bit more money, or they're willing to reimburse him for gas or mileage, whatever. But I intuitively know that this other opportunity is going to be like okay, yes, we will take that. And it won't come with all of the challenges, because right now you guys are going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The next opportunity that is coming is going to be something that you're going to be like, absolutely. Versus this one where there's like a little bit of wrestling, and, you know, maybe he's feeling tired of traveling, and, you know, maybe you're kind of like, we want to get settled, but I don't really feel like this is the end all be all. I feel like I would stay open to what else is coming, unless you get some like really amazing negotiation or deal with the current offer. Oh, so there is another opportunity. Okay, there you go. And do you know that this is something that's coming at a later date, or is this something that you're waiting for it to be available? Because Ace of Swords can mean like within a month. It can also be talking about when we get into an air sign month. So right now it might be that you guys are hearing about it and talking about it, but it might be something that's coming in the new year, you know, closer to like February. That's when we get into Aquarius season, which makes sense because he's got a retrograde he's got to get through, and then we're going to see eclipses that are going to be in the spring. So, you know, if you guys decide to do this, I feel like there can be tension. Right now it makes sense that you're telling me it's further away, because the Chariot's kind of like, okay, there's more back and forth, and there's more kind of like, you know, shuttling back and forth, and maybe you would be traveling with him, so it would be easy in that sense, but you would have to be going farther. And, you know, the distance with the Chariot and the kind of, you know, shuffling back and forth can create some tension, because you've got the Knight and the Queen that have the element of Swords. So it can mean that it requires more communication, more having to talk about things, because you guys are not always together, and having to really, you know, focus on being able to maybe plan things in advance. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the job. If you want to take it, that's fine. But I would definitely either try to negotiate or try to consider this other opportunity, and don't feel like this is the only option that you have. But a job change is definitely coming if he's a Cancer rising. And with that confirmation of the Ace of Swords, it's basically saying he's going to give somebody his word that he's going to make a change, and he's going to have to cut one thing to start another. Hopefully that's helpful for you and giving you some direction. We've got Valentine. Valentine? Am I saying that correctly? Says, there's a stalemate in family court. Don't see my kids since September 2022. Financial struggle despite a full-time job. During the body code session, the facilitator picked up energy around me, pointing that the mother of our children is engaged in a dark occult practices against me and my side of the family. Whoa. Unresolved for over a decade. Offensive body odor despite feeling good and healthy. Interesting. I hear so much stuff about this body code stuff. I've heard so much stuff about this stuff. You want to enlighten me? Thanks, JB. Good luck with the job change. All right, so let's see what's up with this. Obviously, you know, if you guys can't tell, the sun's squaring Pluto right now. Mercury's squaring Pluto right now. So we're going to hear some secrets. Some tea is going to be spilled. All right, so let's see, what do we need to know revolving around this? The energy that was picked up by that facilitator around somebody dabbling in the dark arts. Let's see if that's something that we need to be aware of, what the cards have to say about that in this order. Page of Cups, the Tower, and the Ace of Swords. Wah, wah. I mean, like, look, it ends well, you know? It ends well. Thank you, EM. Is that you, Amiko? I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it yet. So we've got Ace of Swords, the Tower, and the Page of Cups. I mean, like, look, so, you know, the Ace of Swords can be one of the heavier cards. Maybe in my perspective, but, like, that's one of the cards that's one of the true death cards. A reverse would be more physical, but still, this can be like that ended, it got cut off, it got severed. Swords are used to be defensive, right? Or to draw a line in the sand. It can be about intentions, things that are spoken, things that are written down. It can also be about directing some kind of sometimes negative energy, sometimes. But this is in the past position with the Tower, so it makes me feel like there's definitely been some stuff that has happened in the past that has been some heavy things, right? Like severing of relationships, cutting family ties, you know, changes in regards to your connection with this person, and maybe even feeling like disconnected, but still feeling like it's having some negative impact on you. So the Tower card for me is still feeling the effects of the fallout, right? You know, if I saw the Death card, if I saw the High Priestess, if I saw the Devil card, I'd be like, oh, this is concerning. Yes, it's affecting your health. But really, I feel like this is the impact that it might be having on your mental state. And sometimes even just hearing from somebody, or hearing from like a practitioner, you know, or a psychic or a healer, whatever, oh, somebody's doing something to you, like that can be kind of startling. I kind of feel inclined to tell you to be careful about how much of your energy or your thought you're giving to this, though, because that in itself can be like the unraveling, or like what can really kind of affect you is what you've been told, right? Because where thought and intention goes, energy follows. So I've always had the kind of frame of mind that's, with all respect to like spiritual stuff and like, you know, obviously like witchy things, people are going to have about as much power as you're giving them, right? So it doesn't take a bunch of like witchcraft and like crazy stuff to like influence you, right? If somebody's living rent free in your mind, like that in itself could be a spell. So I think that the Ace of Swords with the Tower card is potentially being kind of stuck in this mental mindset of they've always done negative things to me. I'm disconnected from them. Oh my God, they're still doing negative things to me. And then the you know, kind of like the rat race that you might find yourself in. I do feel like the Ace of Cups coming up is saying that it is an energy that can be cleared. I feel like this is also saying that it's about the effects that it might have on your mood. This is also talking about an opportunity for healing and awareness, and maybe where stuff is coming up for you emotionally, that you're recognizing that needs to be kind of cleared, like your emotional reactions to doom and gloom and like negativity and that kind of stuff. Because you know, the Ace of Cups can be a card that's like somebody saying to you, like, I can offer you a way to clear this. I can offer you a way to heal this. So obviously, if you're working with like a facilitator, they're going to help you pick up on whatever is constantly coming up for you energetically so you can clear it. But this might also be things connected to your children, right? Page of Cups. This can also be things connected to you and your inner child, where there's been some reoccurring patterns maybe that's happened since you were younger, and maybe this is like repeating within your relationships. And so it can be really ingrained in you emotionally. That's like, oh, bad things keep happening to me, so that becomes my belief. And then we start kind of being more aware of some of these patterns, and then we get stuck in that rut. So what I like is that you have the opportunity working with this person, obviously, to clear these patterns, to bring it to your awareness, to be aware of it, so you can kind of beef up on maybe your grounding techniques and like really kind of putting up your psychic shield. But this can also be like emotional cleansing or clearing. And so I think of like the Page of Cups as, here, take this bath or do this ritual or practice this emotional healing technique. And then, you know, you'll have the opportunity to kind of clear this. But I think a lot of this is tied to repetitive, like mental gymnastics that you're doing, thinking that there's just always going to be negative stuff that's kind of coming your way and that, oh my God, I don't have any control over it. But it's really getting to the core of how you respond to that stuff and not immediately allowing yourself to go there mentally, thinking that, you know, somebody has some kind of power over you. Let's look at the confirmation card on the bottom. 2 of Cups. Yeah, so that's just kind of doubling down, basically saying that, like, obviously this person's offering you some kind of service. I mean, like, maybe it's just me, you know, being in this business. I'm a huge skeptic. Like, there's been very, very few, like, I think I can count maybe on one hand how many true, honest, genuine, and like clear psychics or healers or intuitives or astrologers, whatever you fancy, like those people who are honest are far and few between. But the ones that are generally are not always going to try to sell you services, right? Maybe that's just me, but we want to get our clients or our people to the point where they're not reliant on us, that they're able to work on themselves and see clearly and not constantly coming to us for healing work or for readings. Even though terrible business plan, right, on my part, but I want to be able to sleep at night knowing that I'm not keeping people in a state of fear and feeling like they need to talk to me. What I can see is that this person has genuine intentions to want to help you, and it does seem positive. It doesn't seem kind of clouded or manipulating in any way. But I think that what they're offering you with that 2 of Cups is the awareness of some of this stuff and the ability to kind of heal it. So then you can kind of help yourself. So bummer to hear that this stuff is going on, but like this is Scorpio season. Like all these planets going through Scorpio right now, there's going to be so much unveiling and disclosure and becoming aware of things that we didn't see. So I think that this is an opportunity for you to be able to heal that and finally, you know, kind of sever yourself from the past and these reoccurring themes of feeling like doom and gloom with this person. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Sending you lots of healing vibes in the process of that. Those of you guys who are just getting a reading or checking in or donating, I'll do roll call in just a second. Don't worry. I've got Deana, Laverne, and Rachel. There's Deana. All right, so let's look at your question. Deana says, I recently quit my job. Would I end up with a job opportunity that I would enjoy moving forward? I'm a Leo sun, Sag rising, Gemini moon. Holy mutables. Well, let's take a look. Obviously, being a Leo sun, you know, you're about to have an eclipse in Taurus, which does seem to indicate that there is some big completion going on revolving around work and career because it's, you know, 10th house from your sun. So that can be quitting. But also you're a you're a Sag rising. So the eclipse is in your 6th house, whole sign. Quitting something that you're feeling like isn't your jam, and then, you know, moving into something that's going to bring you more positivity and happiness. I do feel like it's there for you in the astrology. So let's take a look. Let's see. And pull a card for Deana to see what is on the horizon. If she just quit her job, is she going to find something that feels like it would be a better opportunity that you would enjoy moving forward? 6 of Coins seems to think so. Confirmation card with the King of Swords. Ooh, I like it. I kind of feel like this is about looking at things going, where is my time and energy going to be best spent? All right, you can let me know, give me feedback, but I could definitely see that as like as a Sag sun, you know, this eclipse that's coming up is just really assessing, going like, am I spinning my wheels? Am I wasting my time? Am I in a situation where there's too much chaos with my routine or too much inconsistency at work, or like the people I'm working with are too much, or is my time best spent here? You know, is this really what I'm supposed to do? So if what you've decided is that it's time to kind of cut your losses and move on, I do believe you'll be rewarded, especially as a Leo sun. So I don't know if you're looking, but like, you know, 6 of Coins can indicate increments of 6 weeks, 6 months. It can also mean that you're really trying to focus on balancing things out, which I could totally see from a Sag rising perspective, because there's a lot of building a routine that revolves around your life, not the other way around. So this eclipse is like really teaching you like, okay, like I have to come up with a routine, or I got to figure out how to fly solo. You know, part of having Jupiter and Uranus in your 6th house, some Sagittarius risings are like learning new skills and going into different fields. Some of you guys are deciding that you're going to be working independently, or you're going to be doing kind of like contractual work, stuff that's kind of more sporadic, or kind of, yeah, giving you the freedom that you're really kind of looking for. But when I think about Jupiter and Uranus in conjunction, it's really about creating like a lifestyle and a schedule that is going to work best for you. So it's like, when do you like to get up? When do you like to work out? How do you like to spend your day? Great, go and find a job that's going to work around that. So you can really feel like you're doing your best work and also finding your purpose. So I think that that's definitely the theme by the time we get to the spring of next year. But when I look at this, it kind of like really resonates. It's like maybe you're just trying to find a position, or finding a career, or finding a place of employment that's going to feel like it's an equal give and take. 6 of coins. Feeling like, you know, it's either doing the work you want to do, or feeling like people are kind of really supporting you, right? Because this is about balance and fairness in regards to relationships. And I feel like, you know, for a lot of people, I've noticed this for a lot of people since Saturn was in Capricorn, and even more so since we've seen squares to Pluto in Capricorn. Some people are looking around being like, I spend X amount of time in my car in transit. I spend X amount of time at work and hating it. I spend X amount of time driving back, and then, you know, doing stuff on my off hours. Like, is it really worth what I'm getting paid? And then people are realizing like, it's not worth this. And so it seems crazy, but I think we're finally starting to see people, and I think this is where the eclipse in Taurus is really doing its job. A lot of people are realizing like, life has got to be more than just paying bills and taxes and dying. And like, you know, people are finally getting the picture that enough is never going to be enough, and that we have to start living a life of feeling like it's really in alignment, and we're getting our values in check. 6 of coins with the King of Swords is the confirmation card. I do feel like for you is also about making the time. So I don't know if this is making the time and like setting aside a time to be like, I'm looking for something, or if this is about you going, yeah, I need to learn something new, or I'm investing a little bit of time into learning this skill, or doing a program, or teaching myself something, right? Uranus rules your 3rd house. So it could mean that you're learning some kind of coding, or learning technology, or doing distance learning, or you're learning to do something that's eventually opening the door for you within 6 months' time to have a completely different, you know, type of career. So maybe you're taking the time in that sense, and you're kind of balancing things out, and really focused with that King of Swords. Can there be support that can come from an air sign? Yeah. So like Geminis, Libras, Aquariuses. I think of you having like a Gemini moon. So I wonder if this is like the support that you get from your partner. Does it manifest as like a partnership next year with somebody, you know, that you're working with? Yeah, maybe. 7th house moon people do really well having clients. So I don't know if that's something that would interest you, and whether that's like, you know, like real estate, or, you know, doing some kind of coaching work, or doing some kind of consulting work. But that can be a good move for you. But obviously being a Leo sun, you know, you have that strong placement of Leo, so it's got to be something that feels like it's creative and fun, and something that you're like passionate about, right? But give yourself the time to actually, you know, work that stuff out. Looks like it could be a period of about 6 months, but definitely tuning into something that you feel like is going to be a better time, a better, you know, way of spending your time. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Let me give you guys a roll call, so I'll let you know who else I've got here, because I know some people popped in. And if you guys haven't already, give me a thumbs up if you can see this. It's so helpful. So I've got Laverne, Rachel, Vanessa, Malia, Dawn, Michael, Vintage Junkie, Dorothy, Matthew, Emiko, and Trudy. We'll leave this open maybe for like another 10 minutes if you guys want to sign up. All right, so let's take Laverne. What's up, Laverne? Good luck with the job search, Deana. All right, so Laverne says, I am June 18th, 92. I need advice on what to do career-wise and hate to go back to my current job after maternity leave. Thanks, Candace. I got you. What's up, Exalta? Welcome to level 3. Thank you for joining. Let me know if you want to cash in on your reading this evening or if you would like astrology next week. All right, so Laverne wants to know, what advice can the tarot give her on her career? She went on maternity leave. She got that bug, that I never want to go back to work bug. So let's see. She would hate to go back to work. What advice can we give her? And it was in this order. Oh, this is sneaky, sneaky. There's a lot of being like, yeah, I'm coming back with no intention of coming back. That's just my hot take on that. Let me know. I think maybe originally that was the plan. But I think that, things are kind of changing. I'm actually kind of excited to see the Fool at the end of this, because I do feel like this is about making a breakaway, but doing something different that you're really looking forward to doing. Obviously, you're on the cusp of, being Gemini or being Cancer. So I don't know exactly where your sun is, but I'm going to assume that you're a Gemini. I think about Geminis and Saturn being in Pisces, being 10th house to your sun. So there is some sense of having to commit to something. But you're a late Gemini, so it looks like you got Saturn and Neptune that's coming into conjunction later over like the next 2 years. Where it might be, a 2-year process of trying to figure out what you're doing, and one thing's dissolving and something else is kind of building. Just being honest with you about timing. Here's the deal. I think that there's been a lot of stuff that you've been realizing about what you are passionate about, and maybe whether this is having a kid or just having time away from work, that has made you realize that you have to get on and do something else that's going to be either more creative or more exciting or more fulfilling. 7 of Swords, like I said, this is what I was saying. I could tell that was the plan, or you're like, I'm coming back, but you're not. 7 of Swords is literally like, I'm coming back, but I'm heading the other direction, but I'm telling you I'm coming back. I'm coming back for you. In a way, it's almost like this is, this is like the security blanket, right? Or maybe this is the fallback where you're like, okay, worst case scenario, it's there if I have to, and I'm going to keep telling them that I'm coming back, but really it's like, that's not the plan. So 7 of Swords can represent missing something, not seeing the whole truth, not being completely forthcoming. There is a sense of potentially leaving people, in a position of maybe being disappointed or maybe expecting you to come back. And if you decide to kind of up and run abruptly, like the Knight of Wands does, there can be a sense of burning a bridge. Fire burns, it purges, it purifies. So keep in mind that you have the see you later cards, both of them. The Knight of Wands doesn't look back, and the Fool also doesn't look back. So take that in mind, if you're telling them that you're going to be back, and if you do end up finding a job or you go in a different direction, maybe give them a heads up, or really think about and strategize your exit. So that way it's not just kind of sudden and out of the blue, because it looks like that's what's coming. The positive is that the Knight of Wands is about initiating something and doing something that you really enjoy. So I feel like this can be bringing up for you something that can be independent, something that's going to be active. It's something that you're really motivated about. This can be stuff that's also creative. So sometimes I've seen the Knight of Wands come up for people who are like, I had a side hustle, or I started this, hobby, and then I started making things, or I started doing this thing, and then people started asking me for it, and I just kind of grew legs, and I had to run with it. So I'm wondering, is there something like that? Is there something like that you've been participating in or considering? Then finally, the Fool card is brand new, doing something from scratch that you've never done before. You're like, here goes nothing. I'm doing this thing. So it does tell me that you do initiate something, you do start a new job, or you do start a new, career path, or you have some opportunity before you quit. So I don't see you being like, I can't stand to go back, so I'm quitting my job. You will have something if you end up quitting. The Fool card is also about Uranus. And so I think of Geminis having Uranus in their 12th house and Jupiter being there as well. This whole year can be feeling like a trust fall. It's like, okay, I don't know what's coming. I don't really have a plan, but I have to trust the universe has kind of got my back in this sense. And you will see in the new year, when Jupiter goes into Gemini, you're going to have the opportunity to do something different. But, just knowing your astrology, the next 2 years is going to be like a bit of a do-si-do, because you're going to have Saturn and Neptune in your 10th house. You're going to have Jupiter in your sign, where you're going to feel like you want something new, you want freedom. And then it's going to start coming into an opposition with your 7th house, which means you're going to have a conversation with a partner of some kind about the fact that you want to make some job changes and you need some support in the process to doing that, and be given the space to kind of figure that out. And you'll have to come up with a plan with how you're going to navigate this for the next 2 years. I assume you're supposed to be going back sometime around the turn of the year, because the Fool card is usually about the new year or right around that time period. So that in itself is also incentivizing you to be like, okay, I know that I have a time that I have to be back. But I do feel like whatever you end up doing is going to be brand new. I wonder if this is either some kind of self-employed venture, or if this is going to be something that you're going to do that has to do with like fitness. I think of like the Fool and the Knight of Wands I see as like trainers or coaches. I've also seen people who launch their own businesses that have those two combinations as well. I'm wondering what the confirmation card is. Ace of Cups. So it has to be something that you're passionate about. I mean, if anything, I feel like this is more kind of like clarifying, like you're gonna make your exit. It's just the way that this exit looks is kind of like, I found something better, see you later. And like some people might be like, can you believe she did that? So just a heads up, like have a strategy with how you're going to handle this if you do start getting wind that you're not going to be returning, and maybe giving them that heads up so you can not burn a bridge. I'm curious what you've been thinking about doing though. Ania says, why is that Nicola Degree Theory book so hard to find? Unfortunately, it's because he's passed. And there's 2 books. I'm looking at the other one right now. There's the Degree Theory, and there's the 70 Astrological Problems with Answers. Unfortunately, he passed, his wife passed, and now I know it's his daughter. And I last I heard, Lotta was saying that they were going to try to publish those books and put them on Amazon, but I haven't heard anything about it. But yeah, those are hard books to find. I know that Lotta still sells some of his courses though. Anyway, for you, my dear, I hope that this is helpful. Let me know. I'm curious, what are these things that you've been considering starting, because you're going to do it. All right, so we've got Rachel and then Vanessa. What's up, Rachel? Okay, so Rachel says, I'm seeking some love and relationship advice. What does it say? My heart feels pulled in different directions right now, and my current relationship is not in the best place. Is this phase for me, or some big change is needed? Is this a phase for me or some big change needed? I feel a strong need and desire to know what love is meant to be. I also feel scared to make a mistake and lose something that is actually good for me. Okay, cool. Got it. All right, Rachel, let's see what's going on. So when you feel pulled in different directions, your current relationship is kind of going through it, and you're like, is this a phase? Or do I need to make a change? You're welcome. All right, in this order, well, these are pretty good cards. Confirm with the Three of Wands. All right, Rachel, here's my hot take on what the cards are saying. So first of all, you got 2 major arcanas coming up. So Wheel of Fortune and the Empress card. These are both positive cards. I'm just going to come out and say, like, I feel like this is like growing pains, right? That's really what this is kind of looking like to me. There's nothing coming up saying that this is a problem, that the relationship is negative, that something needs to be ended. This is more kind of saying like the wheels are turning, change is happening, growth is happening, good things are happening, but there's a need to kind of communicate and express your needs. And this is a good thing that you're becoming aware of your needs. So when the Wheel of Fortune pops up, it does kind of come, it's not unusual that we see that things change around the fixed signs, because this card does deal with the fixed signs that go around Ezekiel's wheel. We're coming into Scorpio season soon, and so for a lot of people, there is some big realizations about what needs to change. I feel like this is like fortunate situation, so it's about kind of looking at things going like, okay, you know, the growing pains that I'm feeling, this is a sign that I'm aware, I'm changing, I'm growing, I'm learning more about myself. Because I think this is about you. This isn't about relationships that you're learning lessons. You're learning lessons about yourself. Page of Swords can be talking about insight, ideas, communication, the beginning process of learning how to communicate and express your needs, right? This can also be about the beginning of having conversations about Empress-related things. So you can expand or not expand, it's up to you, but if you're feeling in different direction, if you're feeling pulled in different directions, what is it that you want outside of the relationship dynamic the way that it is? What is it that you want? Because the Empress doesn't sacrifice. She doesn't, neglect herself. She knows that things have to come with pleasure. She knows that things have to come with love. It's also about growing and nurturing. So this can be sometimes about being like, okay, I'm growing up. I'm realizing more of what I want. Sometimes it can be about tapping into the fact that you're like, I do want to get married, or I do want to have a kid. It can be about these phases within, the feminine cycle. If you think of like the High Priestess and the Empress, the High Priestess can be more about working with the subconscious and, kind of focusing on yourself and doing like work in regards to your inner world. The Empress is much more external. It's much more about, okay, what am I creating? What am I growing? Is it a relationship? Is it a business? Is it a family? So I'm wondering what thoughts, communications, ideas have been coming up in regards to what you know that you need. Because if you're feeling like you're outgrowing something, this is a sign that you're really in touch with the fact that you're changing, and it's okay to talk about the fact that your feelings change, your intentions change, your goals are changing, and it's about being able to better express that. But none of these cards are indicating that there needs to be an ending. It's more about learning to communicate and move through this, and also be open, right? I'm looking at the Three of Wands as your confirmation card. Being open to like getting on the path to the next big thing. So what's the next big thing, right? Is it for you? Is it for the relationship? I feel like with this situation, whatever is happening is best for you. So if you decide to go, I need some time, I need some space, that's best for you. If you just decide that suddenly you realize that you want more out of the relationship or you want more out of life, that's what's best for you. So it's about being able to vocalize that. And also being positive and optimistic about some of these changes, because the Wheel of Fortune does kind of indicate that it's time for you to kind of come to terms with some of this stuff or to express some of this stuff because it's in your favor to do so. And Three of Wands is about not just talking about it, being about it, doing it. So I'm wondering, what is it that you're hoping to achieve, grow? What do you need? Don't worry so much about the relationship or what other people think. Focus on being able to put that into words and letting this other person know, you know what, I'm outgrowing this, or this isn't working for me anymore, or, I used to be okay with this and now I'm doing something, I'm going in a different direction. I'm doing something that I haven't done before. If that's saying, usually I hold on to a relationship because I don't want to be alone, and now you're looking at this going, no, that's not the case. I'm growing and I love this person, but I'm not willing to sacrifice. Then it's about keeping things moving and knowing that that Wheel of Fortune is saying like, this is a positive change that's happening right now. For me also, the Empress is a 3, the Three of Wands, increments of 3. It might be something you're working through for the better part of the next 3 weeks. It might mean that you're like, hey, I, just need some space for 3 days to think about things and decide what direction I want to go in. But all of this really comes down to you and how you're expressing what your needs are and being true to yourself. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Rachel. Oh, Laverne came back. I love to start my own business, but I may need to use my parents' home as a security blanket, considering human design or literally anything surrounding that. That's so great with Jupiter and Uranus in your 12th house. It's starting now, but it'll be something you launch over the next year. Last call in 2 minutes. What's up, Marcia? Marcia says 33 in the chat. Okay, so we've got Vanessa, Malia, and then Dawn. What's up, Vanessa? Hi, I want to ask what's up with me. Both my sister and daughter have had shitty attitudes towards me all week. Is there someone in particular wishing ill will against me because my left ear has been hot and red for days? So many Mercury square Pluto things. How are you guys feeling with the squares to Pluto? I think the theme of the day all day has been like, oh, is this ending? Is this done? Like, are we done here? Is it time to clear this out? Oh, that card's jumping out. Remember, Vanessa, you have a lot of planetary placements in Cancer and Libra. So as all these eclipse stuff are kind of coming through, and Mars has been going through your 5th house and it's been squaring your moon, you have friction with women, whether it's daughters, sisters, all of that stuff. All right, so that card jumped out. So we got King of Pentacles, Ace of Wands, and the Chariot. Okay, so personally, I feel like I don't really get the impression that's about somebody doing anything. I feel like this is just more about you learning how to manage your responses. I mean, you know, King of Pentacles is definitely like if you wanted to go and see somebody who wanted to clear something, if you feel like you needed to do that, you could do that. King of Pentacles would be like, I'm the man for the job. What do you need me to clear? And, you know, burning something over you, sure. But I think this is more about you learning to stand your ground. King of Pentacles can be about learning to stay solid when other people are around you are not keeping their head on straight. They're not being logical. This can also be about tapping into your inner maturity and your inner wisdom. And King of Pentacles can be like very stoic. So it's about learning to kind of observe and not just reacting to things. The Ace of Wands is also about channeling your energy in a different way and like what you do with that. So sometimes the Ace of Wands comes up when we get frustrated, we get angry, we get reactionary, you know, we have a lot of pent up energy. And so what it's saying is be mindful of how you direct or redirect your energy. But I don't see this as being somebody doing anything. Ace of Wands is also about burning off steam, being physically active, having an outlet, and being able to kind of clear stuff. You know, as a Cancer rising, you're having all these eclipses that are happening, right? And the most recent eclipse was in your 4th house of home. So it means that it's stirring stuff up when it comes to home and family. And so, you know, the South Node is in your 4th house. It's clearing home. It's squaring your moon, so it creates friction with women. And then it's also squaring Pluto in the 7th house of relationships. This is going to ease up in about 3 or 4 days. And the Chariot card is also talking about moving the energy around, but specifically within the home base. So I know this sounds weird. I have said this to a couple Cancer risings, like open up all the doors and windows, like sage the place, move some of your furniture around, like blast some music, do some stuff to clear that stuff out, because that's what the eclipse wants you to do. And just recently, you know, the Kazemi that we had yesterday, today, Mercury pulled ahead of the Sun in Libra and it squared Pluto, which means there could have been words that you had with a sibling and it squared your 7th house Pluto transit. So it's about whether or not you're going to like kill off certain relationships. The Chariot makes me feel like it's about kind of assessing the situation and being like, do I need to move? Do I need to move things around? You know, is it me? You know, the Chariot card can be about whether or not you're questioning if there's something you did or something that somebody did to you. But I feel like this is about learning to be more in control, right? King of Pentacles, of who you're giving your energy away to, how you're responding to things, what you do with it. And my advice would be literally smudge, get a wand, do something where you can move the energy around in your home. And maybe that's also being mindful of who's bringing that into your home, right? Heat can also be the Ace of Wands. So I don't doubt that you've had a hot ear. But sometimes we know a hot ear deals more with people talking, not necessarily somebody doing anything. But the Knight of Wands is the confirmation card. So it is kind of saying that that energy is still there. And I also feel like this is about other people who are not, like they're used to getting a reaction out of you. And I think maybe this is about being like, no, I'm not the person. I'm not the person, and today is not the day. Knight of Wands. But this can also be dealing with fire signs. So, Leos, Sagittariuses, Aries. Yeah, it's like the Knight of Wands is maybe where you're coming from. Maybe it's saying that that's kind of the pattern that you've had in the past. And now you're like learning not to let other people get a reaction out of you. But you're not crazy. It's in your astrology, and it's definitely some of the squares that you're having to your 7th house. But yeah, no. I'm waiting. Who else is going to ask about black magic? It always happens with the Pluto squares. Hopefully that's helpful. What's up, Jill? Hey, Rachel. Hey, Carla. Hello. Last call. We're calling it Malia. 3-card pull. What does the tarot say about the next 3 months? The last 3 months have been very eventful. I feel like I've been tapping into my Claire-like abilities, and I'm very curious about it. My love life has changed, and I'm starting to finally feel like I'm aligning with myself. Taurus Sun, Libra Rising, Virgo Moon placements for a bit of background. I also discovered, I have an 8th house stellium, so happy to be finally getting a reading. Love you lots. Thank you for all of your hard work you put into the channel. Thank you. Well, I like that you have, 8th house stellium makes you kind of scorpy, but I like that you have the retrograde that you just recently had in your 12th house, and then the eclipse in your 1st house. So you're becoming aware of, what you want to change. And if you have an 8th house stellium in Taurus, and you're having Jupiter and Uranus in your 8th house, very connected to otherworldly things, kind of like spirits and psychic stuff and intuitive things and the other side. And a lot of Libra risings have been learning a lot about reincarnation with Uranus in the 8th house, near-death experiences with transits in the 8th house. And if your sun is there, it's about totally reworking something about your love life and your connection to other people, because, sun rules your 11th, Uranus rules your 5th, so lots changing your love life going on there. So let's see what the cards say about the next 3 months for you. This is for Malia. Wowzers. There's that Page of Swords, 3 of Wands again. All right, so 10 of Swords, Page of Swords, 3 of Wands. I can only say this. I'm a Libra rising too, so I feel like the Mercury retrograde in the 12th house, I feel like the solar eclipse has been a lot of like, okay, that's done and over, moving forward, right? That's kind of what that cycle has been about. 10 of Swords is about, I feel like, having to let some things go, and sometimes not a very pleasant manner. This can be a card where you feel like disappointed, stabbed in the back, that something ended that you didn't have any control over, that you're being pushed to kind of just be open to some of the changes that are happening. It's interesting to also see that you're having this eclipse that's going to be in Taurus, because it is about reinventing yourself, right? An eclipse in your first in your sun sign is about kind of coming back home to yourself. But an eclipse in your 8th house as a Libra rising is being like, that ended, back to square one, right? Fresh start. Now we have to completely rebuild and start something over. So that 10 of Swords tells me that things have not gone so pleasantly, or there's been some sense of not having a lot of say in what's been ending in the recent last few months. But that can be the clearing out prior to the solar eclipse. Now we've got the Page of Swords coming up, which is about being tapped in. I think of the Page of Swords as being clairaudient. It can be clairvoyant as well. I also see this as, making shifts revolving around what you make of messages. Are you seeing numbers? Are you seeing repetitive things in your dreams? Are you paying attention and making notes of your hunches? Are you looking for symbolism in everyday things? There is a sense of you learning to be more extra perceptive, right? It's cool. I've been learning a lot more about the South Node eclipse. Like, it's so easy for me to talk to other people about the South Node going through their first house, but I've been learning about it more just for me to make better sense of it, I guess, personally. But The South Node can be super spiritual, but it can also be about being detached and not being in your body and realizing that this is just a shell. We might paint it and tattoo it and dye it and dress it up, but like essentially like we're just renting this. This is not what we're going to be in forever. So I'm wondering if there's been this sense of you learning to get outside of yourself and not just seeing yourself in your physical form, but seeing yourself maybe in a spiritual form and learning to kind of get in touch with your soul. And yeah, something about like writing stuff down, saving stuff, like paying attention to messages, like that's where you're at right now. Keep doing that. Because I think the Three of Wands is saying that doors are opening. You're committing to, making some significant changes. This can also be about adventure. So I think about, is the Three of Wands kind of talking about your third house and the fact that you're going to have a Mars transit through there where you could be traveling, you could be going on a road trip, you could be learning something new, you could be moving. Like there's going to be a lot of action there pretty soon. So you're probably going to be feeling a little bit more open to new experiences. And I feel like this is about embracing these new beginnings that are starting for you and trying to also think and communicate in a much more optimistic way as well, and kind of moving on from what has happened, right? Because these eclipses for you that just started in Libra are clearing things that have been hanging around for like, you could say 9, you could say 18 years. So now you're ready to kind of start fresh. And so there is this sense of being like, I'm going to reinvent myself, but that means that I have to kind of figure out who I am on the inside. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it's really about leaving the past in the past and being more open to like letting your intuition kind of guide the direction that you're moving forward, whether that's what you're learning, where you're going, or who you're interacting with. Okay. But yeah, very, very positive for self-awareness. Hopefully that's helpful. Definitely trying to move on from things in the past I couldn't control. Here's a recommendation if you have Sagittarius in the third. Write things down and burn them. Write things down and burn them. Deana says, can I do super chat? We just called last call. What's up, Claudette? Lots of love to you as well. But if you want to get in there, you can, Deana, and super chat before we wrap. We've got Dawn, and then we've got Jamie, and then we've got Vintage Junkie. Dawn says VRGSAM. Virgo Sun. Is that what I'm reading? What do these things mean? Spirit-led reading, please. Let me know if you have a particular question. Otherwise, I will just read. Is there something significant for those letters that I need to be aware of? This is for Dawn Wolf. Nope, I did not do Matthew yet. You're about 4 or 5 away. All right, Dawn. Okay, that's what I thought. Virgo rising, Gemini sun, Aqua moon. Thank you. In this order. Wowzers. Why do I feel like with these cards there is a sense of getting your hopes up and then like there being plans that changed? I mean, I guess this is life, but 10 of Cups, Queen of Cups, it's kind of like riding high, being positive, happy endings, great outcomes, being overjoyed with the situation, and then it's like almost like a record scratch, and then there's the Three of Swords. And the combination is with the Knight of Pentacles. So was this unsettling news that kind of threw you off that you weren't expecting? Was this some challenging news that came in regards to a financial situation? Is there a sense of feeling a little bit off in regards to a connection that you have with another person? Really bizarre to see the two of the more positive cards in regards to the cups kind of come up first. You know, that 10 of Cups is feeling unified. It feels complete. It feels fulfilling. It definitely deals with everything being like cool, calm, collected, joyous. And the Queen of Cups is about, you know, kind of looking over everything that's going so well and so peaceful. And then the Three of Swords. So that can be talking about maybe getting your hopes up about something, or anticipating that there was going to be some amazing thing that was going to happen for, you know, a living situation or family or relationship. And then Three of Swords is like, and there's the disappointment. Challenge in relationship. Okay. You know, Knight of Pentacles, what I will say about that is that that is a card that's associated with Virgo. And that is a card that's about, especially if it's the confirmation, that's like, I'm not going to walk away. What is there to salvage, right? There's got to be something that we can salvage, or something that we can fix, or something that we can work on. Disappointments, 100% for sure. And I would say that I think for a lot of Virgo risings right now, with, you know, Saturn getting ready to go direct in the 7th house, a lot of harsh realities in regards to relationships and whether or not other people are really showing up and like doing their part. And the whole like last month or so for you with that retrograde has been about realizing where, you know, you could be communicating better, or where maybe you've been afraid to speak up or say something, and not feeling validated or maybe seen by another person. The Knight of Pentacles is the confirmation, is saying that you're not going to lose something. Like there's like not a sense of a relationship ending. I feel like there is a willingness to stay and work on it and try to see if you can work through this, and the willingness and the determination to kind of see the relationship through. But nevertheless, it does still seem like there is some disappointment. And, you know, when the Three of Swords comes up, there is a need to acknowledge and recognize where there's been some heartbreak, or where somebody's hurt your feelings, or where you can't just, you know, sweep it under the rug and be like, this is not a big deal, it's fine. There will be some emotional clearing. I think that's going to be happening for you, you know, the latter part of this year. I think about Virgo risings and, you know, the Mercury retrograde that's going to be taking place is definitely going to be about cleaning house, you know, energetically or emotionally. And that may be more of a turning point as to whether or not something can be reconciled. 42 years of the triple Leo that thinks I'm a little woo-woo. It's also the Pluto transits, you know. But I also think for you, it's learning not to take it personally, and learning not to see it as there's something wrong with you. The Queen of Cups and the 10 of Cups can be saying, hey, in spite of, you know, the disappointment and like getting your feelings hurt, or there being a challenge, still having a lot to be thankful for, or still having a lot to be appreciative of, or being like, yeah, but look at everything that I have. I'm not just going to kind of like throw this away, right? But yeah, Knight of Pentacles is about slow and steadily kind of focusing on ways that you can kind of rebuild things or work through things. And also being of service, because it takes two to tango, right? So you can see the Knight of Pentacles being like, okay, I'm here, you know, how can I help? Let me help you. What can we do to be able to kind of work through this? And being patient in a state of still kind of getting your feelings hurt. So I would say, like, don't not talk about things. It's really important. You'll see, especially over like the next couple of weeks, as you know, Venus continues to move through Virgo, it's going to start making an opposition to Neptune here pretty soon. So when it makes that opposition, you're going to be like, even if you're not giving it to me, I'm giving it to myself, right? And they're going to start to kind of recognize and realize where you're doing more self-work and you're building more on yourself and getting stronger. And not that you don't need them, but you're going to recognize like, okay, I don't need that validation. Or if they're going to be like that, I'm going to still kind of like keep on keeping on. And I'm not going to like let that kind of get me down. And you might kind of start to see them behave differently. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Thank you for getting a reading, Dawn. Okay, so I have Jamie, and then Vintage Junkie, Dorothy, and then Matthew. Thanks, Jamie. I want some direction on reoccurring issues that keep coming up in my relationship. When will it get smoother? Let's take a look. I like the positivity in that question. When will it get smoother? I like it. All right, let's take a look here for Jamie. What direction can the tarot give her in her relationship? And when can things get smoother? You are welcome, Sacred. Here we go. King of Wands, Hierophant, and the Lover's card. What are your guys' sun signs? Is anybody a fire sign or a Taurus or a Gemini? I know I'm throwing a lot out there, but these are the signs that are coming up. So first of all, notice that the spread ends with the Lovers, which represents choices, direction, temptation, union. This can also be like, your better half. And also, I think the challenges that come with love, right? Because it can represent whether or not we're doing the work that we need to do to actually be together, or is there something that's bringing us together that may or may not have substance, okay? So sometimes when I see this card at the end, I like to remind people, like, at the end of the day, if there's somebody that you really love, then you're going to do what it takes to make sure that you guys stay together and work through it. And even if you don't necessarily stay together, that can be a card that indicates there is still a coming back together, right? So King of Wands comes up first, which does reference sometimes a man or a male energy or a fire sign. And the King of Wands is somebody who likes freedom. He doesn't want to be told what to do. He really enjoys being the master of his own reality. Sometimes he can have a bit of a temper, but this can also be somebody who can be very self-focused, but action-oriented as well. So it's a lot of like, what am I doing? What am I enjoying? Where am I going? What am I, whatever. And that particular card in the first position is making me wonder, like, is this issues revolving around whether or not he's showing up in the relationship, whether or not he's having some challenges with his behavior, whether or not he's, got enough goals and he's, working on the direction of his career and his creative endeavors or his life goals, right? Are you seeing enough movement and motivation there? Virgo. Okay, thanks. 2 is that the center position is the Hierophant. Okay, so what's interesting is that the Lover's card is about union in a soul sense or in a romantic sense, and then the Hierophant for me is about commitment and like long-term, and that can be a card that comes up about marriage. So are you guys not married? And is there a sense of like somebody, questioning whether or not this is a relationship that's going to go the distance? Because I could see that Lover's card in the final position being like, is there something else out there? Is this going to cut it? Confirmation card is a 7 of Wands. I don't pick favors. That's not, favorites. I don't pick sides. But I look at this and I'm like, you've got a situation where if you're wanting to see more movement or more development, either with the relationship or on things that you're hoping that he's going to be changing, he needs to do that. Because for the relationship to actually evolve and for you guys to be able to come together as one, there needs to be more of a focus on how you guys can actually be actively building towards a stronger, more committed future, right? That is the Hierophant. We would like to try to go the distance. Okay, so if that's the case, then, it's important to sit down and make sure that this is happening in an orderly way. Sometimes the Hierophant's like having a conversation with a therapist, talking to a priest, talking to a healer. And I'm wondering if this is like the person who's sitting down and talking to the two people together, right? Because I'm wondering if there are some challenges in being able to kind of get through to him and really getting the reaction or the responses that you're wanting from him. And like, is there a need to involve another person? I feel like because the Hierophant is generally somebody who guides other people, who instructs other people, who's a professional in what they do, it may take a third party to be getting involved for you guys both to kind of realize how you can work better together. Is it possible? Yeah, there's no doom and gloom card saying that you're breaking up. There is an indication that it's saying it's getting to a point where if you guys can't come together and if the relationship is feeling like it's constantly an uphill battle, then yeah, you may start contemplating or considering like, okay, is this going to make it, or is there other people out there? But I think you're dealing with a situation with an individual where this person is potentially having some issues in being able to look outside of themselves, right? That's what the King of Wands kind of indicates for me. And you telling that person that or talking to them about their flaws or what they're not doing right may not necessarily be making the situation better. It might be important to be going and working with somebody who can help you guys learn how to communicate and talk to each other better, so you can be one, so you can come together and be a team and focus on being able to get to the end result that you're hoping to get within this relationship. Because the Hierophant is saying, like, we're being seen out in society as, you know, a unit. We're together, we're engaged, we're married, we're life partners, like whatever. And that Seven of Wands is confirmation, is saying, like, it's about not backing down. So I don't know if this is about you saying, like, okay, I'm not just going to walk away from this, or, you know, I'm not just going to let this situation go. Like, I really want to work through it. It can be about standing your ground. And so I feel like it's about also being like, I love you. I want to be with you. I want to make this work. But at the same time, you know, it's getting to a point where I have things that I'm no longer going to tolerate. And also I have some non-negotiables, or, you know, maybe for us to be able to move forward, you know, we need to bring in like a counselor, somebody that we can talk to. And a lot of this is going to be standing your ground. And I don't think it's necessarily about standing up to this person. I think it's about being like, I'm not just going to walk away from this. I want to work on this. I want to fix it. And holding that other person accountable for doing the same thing without forcing him. He has to be willing to meet you halfway. So I think if you guys really do care about each other, then you'll find somebody who can kind of help you be the middle ground, and who can also give him that feedback that he needs to hear that's not coming from you. Because to me, it does seem to be about how he's navigating things, or whether or not he's taking the initiative and showing up for other people outside of himself, right? But no doom and gloom cards here. Hopefully that's helpful. I know Virgo or Virgo risings right now with Saturn and Pisces is you got a lot of partners that are not feeling seen if you're a Virgo, or they're feeling as if you're not making an effort, or you're not listening to them or seeing them. So they can get really emotional with Saturn and Pisces, or they can kind of become detached and shut down. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Jamie. I've got Vintage Junkie, Dorothy, and then Matthew. Vintage Junkie says 3-card pull, November 10th, 78, Chicago. Career or business focus. You got it. We almost have the same birthday. All right, so this is for you, Vintage Junkie, in this order. There you go. Gemini rising, Scorpio sun, Aries moon. Thank you. Quit my job today during my Saturn opposition. Oops, what's the lesson? Walking away. So we've got the moon card, the star card, and the 8 of cups. Well, hi, Saturn opposition. So you're a Gemini rising. So you have Saturn in Virgo, which is in your 4th house, whole sign. And so Saturn went into your 10th house. Okay. So, the big thing for me is like looking at the moon card and the 8 of cups is about being able to trust your intuition and like walking into something even if you don't know what's coming, right? So I personally think for you, the moon's kind of being like, I have to listen to my intuition. I have to kind of follow into a situation, even though I don't know where it's going to lead. It can also be about something that maybe you felt like was coming, or like a shift that needed to happen for emotional reasons. Like I think about how, you're having that opposition and Saturn is going through the 10th house and it's opposing Saturn in the 4th. So it can represent like where it's forcing you to really break ties with jobs or with professional situations that's not going to be beneficial for your emotional health, or maybe it's something that is not allowing you to have enough home time or enough family connection, or maybe it's something that's not going to be providing for you in a way physically or financially or emotionally that would be ideal for you. This is also talking about the moon and the cycles, right? So as a Gemini rising, you're having just recently had an eclipse that was taking place in Aries. So in the spring, you started realizing like, okay, I got to network, I got to meet people. It's all about my friends and who I know. And you just had this solar eclipse in Libra, so it's initiating opportunities for more creativity It's initiating opportunities for self-employment, for hobbies, for new romance or love or interests. And now you've got your Taurus eclipse that's going to be happening, and that's in your 12th house. So that's kind of like shaking everything loose, letting everything go. When does work opportunities come for you? I mean, first of all, I think, you know, the star card is about looking at things going like, what is my goal? Like, what am I hoping to achieve when it comes to my professional life? How can I be a part of something where I'm a part of like a collective of people, or I'm doing something that feels like it's in alignment with where I'm hoping my life is going? You know, Saturn transits in general, whether it's the opposition, the square, you know, Saturn return, will bring you to your knees time and time again with work stuff, because Saturn has associations with your purpose within the 10th house and also with your goals in society. So I would really look at, well, what happened you know, 15-ish years ago, 14, 15 years ago. If you have Saturn in the 4th and it's all about making changes in regards to your home life and your emotions and creating that foundation, now that you're in the opposition, now you have an opportunity to go, okay, you know, now I've done all the work that I needed to do, hopefully, when it comes to my home and my emotions. Now what have I learned from that? And how can I apply that in terms of what I'm doing for my professional life? You know, the final card being the 8 of Cups, about picking up and walking away from something, it does make me feel like you're going to do this and you're not going to look back. I don't think you're going to regret it. I think it's probably the right thing to do. Let's look at the confirmation card. 7 of Coins. So it's still about assessing your time away from work. It's also about being mindful of your finances and your resources, but it's also being like, okay, I'm going to go and plant some seeds and I'm going to see what ultimately grows. You know, 7 of Coins is like, I hope I'm not doing this for nothing. You know, I hope something else kind of pops up. So I don't see you aimlessly leaving. I see you like actually planting seeds to be able to potentially take another job or start another job. But I do think that's a card that I would just be really mindful of how much time you're spending looking, or how much time you're spending you know, potentially dedicating to a job that may or may not be fulfilling in the future. Let's see. Hey, Susan. Let's see, what did she say? Oh, okay, there it is. I became a mom 15 years ago. What is the bottom of the deck? The eclipse was on my natal Pluto. Well, the eclipse on your natal Pluto is then definitely going to be bringing up themes revolving around relationships, balance, things pertaining to other people. But that's in your 5th house. So it's kind of saying, okay, it's going to crack your heart wide open and get you thinking about, you know, where is there change going on with your relationship to a kid? Where is there change going on with your relationship to your inner child, to your inner artist, your inner creative? So many Geminis are really going to benefit from these eclipses in the 9th house with networking and meeting other people. I do feel like you know, the star card is saying hope and renewal for the future. It's also talking about the opportunity to connect with other collective groups and making it possible for you to be able to feel like you've got something that's going to be sufficient. And you know, something I would just say, if you have Saturn in the 4th, if you made so many sacrifices, right, Saturn, if you made sacrifices emotionally or on the home front for your family, for your kids 15 years ago, then the Saturn opposition is like, okay, you've done that work. Now what are you going to go do out in the world, right? And obviously, like, being a mom is probably one of the hardest jobs in the world, but now it's like, what are you going to go and do out, for yourself, for other people? Are you going to start a business? Are you going to run a business? Are you going to go and join a new career? And it's different because it's in Pisces. Like, Saturn in Virgo is very matter of fact, cook, clean, take care of things, take care of the house. And like Saturn in Pisces in the 10th house is very different than Virgo. It's like, okay, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? I don't know. Let my intuition like lead the way. Like, you might go and do something that's about helping the needy. You could do philanthropy work. You could do nonprofit work. You could work as a photographer. You could work as an intuitive coach. You could work as a musician, an artist. I mean, there's so many things that you could do there. But I think that for right now, it's about trusting the fact that if it's time to walk away from what you're doing, it's time to walk away. Take some of the lessons from your Saturn return about being helpful, but now apply it into your 10th house. Okay. Good luck. I'm taking notes. I have Saturn in the 4th too. And I think I'm gonna have some similar themes, probably. We'll see. All right, so we have got Dorothy, and then Matthew, Amiko, and Trudy. Did anybody else sneak in there? Let's see. What's up, Enchanted? I'll catch you next week. Oh, you did nonprofit for 20 years now. Wow. That's crazy. I'm surprised you haven't considered doing something on your own or doing your own. Okay, we got a number of people that jumped in here. So we have Astrid, Kimberly, Tina, Elaine, and Michelle. All right. So Dorothy, Matthew, and Amiko, you guys are all on deck. All right, so we have Dorothy, DH. I'm going through a million changes this past year. I am wondering what the tarot says about moving for a new career opportunity. Let's take a look. This is for you. So moving for a new career opportunity. These are the cards that I get. Bump, bump, bump. I like it. I like it a lot. I feel like we've seen a lot of the Ace of Swords and the Fool already this evening. So a lot of people being like, nope, fresh start, new things. Personally, I look at this and I'm like, here's the deal. You know, the King of Swords is about trying to rationalize something. So it's like, am I making the best move? Is this going to work for me? Is this where I'm supposed to be going? And it's a lot about communication, assessing information, assessing the data, and being logical and practical, right? So you're going through a lot of changes, but like to me, it looks like these are good changes. It looks like it's about starting over, starting brand new. I think that this may go hand in hand with things. Like if you find that you had a change in a relationship or a change in personal habits, a change, you know, potentially with work, obviously a move is on the horizon. I see more clients do that then it's like wild. Like I've noticed that there's like a pattern. Like people will move, have a relationship change, and have a job change all in like one small short period of time. So it seems to come in threes. I think that the Fool card is saying you're up for anything. You're up for an adventure. You're willing to do something new or have a fresh start. It also means that you are actively either considering or you're looking. So it looks like you're already kind of being like, okay, I am potentially looking for jobs in other places, which could help incentivize me moving, or vice versa. And then we've got the Ace of Swords, which can be about making a commitment, signing something, saying yes to a job, signing a lease. Specifically, these can be referencing the air months. And the Ace of Swords sometimes can take a whole month, up to a month for something to happen. But I would give this up until maybe the new year, because for me, you know, the timing, the Fool card is generally like right around Aquarius season. So the end of January, sometimes beginning of February is when we see this happen. And the Ace of Swords makes me feel like you're already talking about it, looking into it, speaking it into existence. Like you already have your mindset on some kind of change, you know, and the King of Swords can be changing or committing to a way that you look at something, or how you communicate, or how you share information, or you relay information. So I'm wondering also, is this about you like doing some kind of training, learning something new, reading up or studying up on something, and making sure that you are capable of being able to make the jump into something else that might require a little bit more of information, meetings, communication. Like there's something going on here where you're like, yeah, I gotta kind of like I have to sharpen up on these skills, or I have to kind of go and finely tune my resume, or, you know, I'm going out for this particular kind of position and I need to go and do like a refresher on some of the stuff relating to this particular job. I've been traveling a ton for work. Yeah. What's cool is like, I'm wondering, like, are you traveling to places and then like looking at where you would apply? Because it almost seems as if your mind is already made up that you know that you want a job change. You're just trying to figure out, where do I want to go? Am I applying in these particular places? But yeah, I do think that it's a good idea. And I also feel like one is going to support the other. So perhaps looking for a job is the perfect way to be able to move. Good luck with your potential move and job search. We've got Matthew. What's up, Matthew? Welcome back. He says, a few weeks ago, I asked about my ex-boyfriend breaking up with me, but wanting to still be friends. We still follow each other on social media and text from time to time. We had some tickets to a concert and a movie and still wanted to do them. I told him that I do care about him and we could still be friends, but neither of us reached out about the movie when the time came. I paid him for the concert back when we were together, and he seemed open to still going when we broke up, and I would still go if he wanted to, but neither of us mentioned it again, and it's in a few weeks. Should I reach out about it, or should I cut my losses? As a reminder, I'm a Taurus sun, Libra moon, Cancer rising. He is a Virgo sun, Aries moon, Sag rising. All right. So let's take a look here for you, Matthew. Let's see, should Matthew reach out about this concert with his ex, or should he let it go? Which should he do? So it was in this order. Okay. Well, it does look like it would be well received if you were to decide to reach out. I do feel like, the Nine of Cups in the end position of this particular spread, that he would be like, yeah, if you want to go, let's go. Like, I don't think it's going to be something where he's going to say no. However, I do feel like the Two of Swords is kind of like both of you guys playing chicken. So it's like both of you guys are like, I'm not going to say anything unless somebody says something to me. So I do feel like if you don't reach out, you're not going to hear anything. So if you want to see him, or if you want to go to the concert, you're going to have to reach out. I don't think he's going to reach out to you. But the Queen of Swords coming up does kind of trump the situation. So it's basically saying, look, the ball's in your court. If you want to go, if you guys talked about it, if you said, hey, I'm willing to go with you, which I think, yeah, you pretty much said that. But I mean, the Knight of Cups is saying, like, the offer has been put out there. You can ask. The Queen of Swords is also somebody who's just extremely direct and kind of like emotionally detached. And it's not somebody who's super fixated on being like, oh, I wanted to go with you. No, it's like, okay, we got the tickets. We talked about going, do you still want to go? I would like to go. Can we go? And there's no like real messy emotions involved in any of it. Two of Swords tells me that there can be a bit of like a back and forth and like stressing out about it, but I wouldn't. Because I feel like the Knight of Cups is generally somebody who's like, yes, if you'd like to go, I would love to go. Let's go, right? There's no weirdness. There's nothing like that about this. Confirmation card is the Judgment. So it is saying, once again, if you are deciding that you want to like smooth things over, be on good terms, maybe still try to see if you guys can be friends, leaving things in a way that can be kind of positive and leaving the door open so at least you guys can be kind to one another. It definitely is a good idea for you to reach out and extend the olive branch and be like, hey, I'd still really love to go. Even though it sounds like, you guys talked about being friends, but there's still feelings here, I would imagine maybe it's difficult for you because you're like, okay, well, I got broken up with. But I would definitely say reaching out to him, if that's something that you want to do, is what I would do. And I think you'll be surprised and relieved when you realize like maybe how nice he is about it, or just like how accommodating he is. Like the Knight of Cups could be somebody who's like, yeah, I'll pick you up, or, like I'll meet you at your house at this time. Like it does seem to indicate there is some sense of not just going to the concert, but going together and there being like a bit of an exchange about how you get there and what the plans are. And yeah, somebody who's just accommodating. I guess the Knight of Cups can be somebody who's accommodating. Yeah, let me know. But also, if you don't say anything, that Judgment card makes me feel like this could be a situation where you guys just kind of like let it go, and then it kind of goes into like a bit of like the abyss. It's like, okay, I didn't hear anything, and then I didn't reach out, and then like we haven't spoken in X amount of time. So you have to decide if that's how you want to leave things, because if you end up leaving it like this, I don't know if you guys are going to engage much after that. Hopefully that's helpful for you. I have Amiko, Trudy, Astrid. You guys are all on deck. What's up, Amiko? I won't be watching the live because I'll be at my side hustle working. Sun in Aries, rising Pisces, moon in Taurus. I'm wondering what's going on with my romantic life. I've been single forever and haven't had a good lay in a while. LOL. I'm not really looking for anything specific. It doesn't have to be anything serious, but also nothing super casual right away. I want to date around and have some fun, but it's hard for me to find someone to connect with to initially even be interested in at all. I'm kind of picky, to be honest, but I haven't had any luck with finding anyone, and I haven't given up on dating apps. Any guidance is appreciated. You're welcome, Matt. What's up, Miko? You made it. Okay, so Pisces rising, and you have that Venus and Mars in the 12th house. So something I would say about that, just heads up, it means that there can be secret admirers. Secret admirers. And obviously Aquarius is kind of unusual, quirky, different. So you say picky, I say not always aware that people are checking you out, or maybe you're just the way that you experience relationships, or the way that you are in relationships is just different. So let's see if the tarot has any guidance in regards to potential relationship stuff for you, what to be aware of. I would also say Pisces rising, you have a lot of planets in Scorpio going into your 5th house here. So Sun, Mercury, Mars, all going into your 5th house pretty soon. Trining your ascendant, sextiling your 7th house, trining planets in your 9th. It's a good time. Here's the thing. For me, and I've seen this a lot with people who have Venus in the 12th house, there is a sense of self-sacrifice sometimes in relationships where, it can be like, when I am in love, I give it all away to that person, but there can also be a sense of hiding away. Remember, the 12th house is like this invisible world. So there can be this feeling that, everything you like is out of reach, or it's, too far away, or you can't find what you want, or they can't find you. 5 of Wands coming up makes me feel like it's about moving away from the mindset that it's going to be hard to find someone, or that it's a challenge to find someone, right? And not feeling like it needs to be work. It should be effortless. And if you have Mars and Venus in conjunction, it's definitely a sense of like being somebody who's very passionate. It's just, it has to be for the right situation. Miko says, I'm talking to a Leo. Not sure if it's promising, but it seems like it could be. Well, I think of like the 5 of Wands of going from a situation where you feel like also probably everything that's been around you has been really challenging. Like you've been feeling like there's a lot of life things going on that's keeping you busy, or running around, or hustling, or distracted. And like it hasn't really been at the top of your list to, look for a relationship. But the 10 of Wands makes me feel like you're kind of hanging that up right now. And you're like, look, life is going to be busy. Things are going to happen, but I still have to put myself out there. I have to give it a shot. I have to be willing to, go the distance and at least say that I tried. The 10 of Wands generally means that I'm putting forth the effort, trying to see if something's going to happen. So 10 of Wands can be a positive card because it can mean that, your efforts are going to be rewarded if you just keep, trying. Maybe it's saying, hey, I'm going to get on the app, twice a week and see if I find anybody. And maybe I will commit to going on a date once or twice a month at the very least. So I'm at least saying I'm going out there and meeting people because, at least I'm trying. 10 of coins, the Queen of Coins coming up in the final position does make me feel like a lot of this is also realizing that your time is valuable. And whether that's, in between jobs and running around and doing things, it's like looking at it going like, I have time that I can spend by myself, resting, recuperating, and recovering. Venus in the 12th definitely likes to do that. But it's saying I'm willing to make the sacrifice and putting myself out there and trying to meet someone. You have to look at your 7th house Lord and where it's placed in your natal chart. So if you, where is your chart information again? Hold on. Sun and Aries, Pisces rising. So you have to look at Mercury and look at your natal Mercury and look at transits that are going on to your natal Mercury, outer planets. Are they trining, conjuncting, squaring? But the Queen of Pentacles makes me feel like this is about you, A, realizing that your free time is hard to come by and that, you know, you have an opportunity to invest more in yourself. And sometimes that means being like, hi, this is not worth my time, or, you know, my time's worth more, you know, working on myself, or, you know, focusing on my career, and being willing to see who or what is worth investing time into. Confirmation card is the King of Cups. So that's nice. So, you know, that tells me that, is there somebody in waiting? Yeah, maybe it's been a matter of you spending time working on yourself, and then somebody comes through and you're like, okay, now it makes sense why I was working on myself so much, or, you know, focusing on me, because this person was coming in and I had to do X, Y, and Z before they came. Still, I feel like it does feel challenging. I'm not surprised that you're exhausted. King of Cups can be a water sign, so it can be a Cancer, Scorpio, or a Pisces. Somebody who's lighter complexion, sometimes lighter hair or eyes, and so, usually you'll meet them near their elements. You can meet them on a beach, at a bar, at a restaurant, you know, somewhere near a pool or something out in nature. Mercury in Aries. So if your Mercury is in Aries, then depending on if it's, well, let's just put it this way, it's in your whole sign second house, right? So the person who you're going to be with, number one, there is a sense of possessiveness, right? If you have your 7th house Lord in the second, it means that that person's going to claim you, or vice versa. So they're going to go, you're mine, I'm with you, you know, whatever. And then 2, eclipses are happening in Aries. The North Node is somewhere in Aries. You're going to have a lot of action going on in Aries, especially in the spring. And sometimes they show up around their element. So, you know, Scorpio season right now is great for dating and sexy time, but you may not feel like you're really committing to something until closer to maybe like March or April of next year. So if you're looking to get laid, I mean, one night stands, hooking up with people, that's your 5th house. So you have Mercury, Mars, and the Sun there. So that conjunction that's coming up actually between Mercury and Mars and the opposition to Jupiter, your best luck is going out socializing with other people this month, and you may find people naturally. Planets are going through your 5th house, so this is like bars, theaters, you know, places where there's like live music. But I get the impression that there's going to be more opportunities for like commitment related things that's going to be going on a little bit down the road. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful for you. Look for that water sign that's going to be popping up. But be mindful of who you're spending your time on. All right. Let's take a look at Trudy. And then we have Astrid and Kimberly. Commitment's going to be coming more after you get out of your Saturn opposition, so it'll be in the spring. You're welcome. Trudy says, what will my financial situation be in 6 months? I got you, Trudy. Sun in Cap, Moon in Virgo. What's your rising sign? Sun in 5th house, Pluto in 2nd. Okay. Let's take a look. So, what will Trudy's financial situation be like in 6 months? There's that 5 of Wands again. Well, for me, this seems as if you are working hard to work your way out of it. You know, working your way out of something. So Capricorn, you know, Suns, you guys are dealing with changes going on revolving around the home front, shifts sometimes with job. But Virgo risings are experience a situation where there is some challenge revolving around resources. You know, the solar eclipse is about losing an opportunity. So some of you guys are cutting back, not making as much, or not receiving as much support. Some of you guys are losing one form of income, but there's going to be something you're going to gain. That's the North Node in your 8th house. So the card that you got is the 5 of Wands, which is a card of challenges, upheaval, overcoming something, combativeness, fighting for something, working through something at all costs. So it might mean that you're having a difficult time and you're fighting, releasing, or letting something go. It can also mean that there is a sense of feeling like you're just kind of getting hit with everything at one time. I've definitely heard from a lot of Virgo risings that have been like, you know, lost my job, got hit with a tax bill, or, you know, got my hours cut back and then lost, you know, some of my insurance, or, you know, cut back on my work. And then my partner, you know, ended up not being able to pay rent. So there is a sense of feeling like you're getting hit with everything at once. But I feel like the confirmation card of the Ace of Wands is basically saying that you have to focus on initiating, like, and taking action. It's not kind of like sitting back and being like, okay, I'm going to take it. You know, it's just going to keep coming. It's being like, no, I'm seeing all of these things that are kind of playing out. I'm coming up with an action plan. So does it feel a little challenging and chaotic? Sure. But I also think about, you know, next spring when you're going to have eclipses in Libra, and that could be about making more money. I think about, you know, in the spring also in 2024, Jupiter is going to go into Gemini, and you might be working more than one job, or you might find that, you know, you were working one job and then another one appears. And so you were doing something maybe to kind of catch up. Ace of Wands is about being about solutions, not being about the problem. Right now, you're kind of getting sucked into the problem, being like, okay, all these things are happening. What do I do? The Ace of Wands is basically saying that it's giving you the opportunity to take initiative and be like, I'm starting a new job. I'm coming up with an action plan. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do to be able to bring in new resources. Everything's new, right? So it's hard sometimes when the Five of Wands comes up because you're right in the middle of the storm to be able to take a step back and be like, okay, how do I come up with an action plan? But you're going to have to do that and not fight what is going on right now. Because for some Virgo risings, you're feeling like you're fighting the inevitable when it comes to either challenges in relationships with money, or challenges to your relationship with spending, challenges to your relationships with material goods. The Ace of Wands is basically saying you have the opportunity to start new. It can be a little challenging with this transit because when the South Node goes to the second house, you have to learn to let things go. And I don't know if it's your relationship to certain things, certain spending habits. It can be your relationships to collections, or even relationships letting people go. But what comes with that is an opportunity to be able to gain. And you will see those gains that will come through over the next couple months. Hopefully that's helpful for you. It's so helpful to get an ace in the midst of that, because at least there's light at the end of the tunnel. Astrid, and then Kimberly, and then Tina. Astrid says, hey Candace, I've been having a hard time sleeping. I haven't been resting much. I work a full-time job and I go to school. I've been feeling overwhelmed ever since. I don't have a question. I just need guidance. I know my effort will pay off. Lately, it has been a bit too much for me. I'm a Gemini sun, a Libra moon, Leo rising. Well, there is a payoff coming. You got that full moon coming in your 10th house soon. It's Saturn that's squaring your sun. And Saturn is in a sign that deals with sleep, Pisces. So even though your sun is in your, 11th house? Because you're a Leo rising? Yeah. The sun is in your 11th house. And then Saturn is in your 8th, squaring your sun. Okay, so I'm wondering, is there something weird about days and nights? I mean, you say you work full time and you go to school, but I think of like for a Leo rising, Saturn being in the 8th house is about, you know, the emotional effects and how it affects your sleep. Stimulants and things that might be processed, or things that you need to detox that can be affecting your sleep. And whenever Saturn is in a square to your sun, definitely we can feel the effects of having lower energy levels. That's a very challenging transit. It lasts about a year, and then there is a payoff for all of the hard work. So let's take a look. Let's see. All right, so it was in this order. In tonight's episode, brought to you by the Ace of Swords. So if you guys haven't already noticed a theme here, and this is like all the planets square Pluto, right? Sun and Mercury square Pluto, things that are out of balance that we gotta cut loose. Solar eclipse that we just had too. Ace of Swords is basically saying people are becoming aware right now of the things that need to change, the stuff that we need to say, the things we need to talk about, the things we need to cut out, right? Making the mental connection. So I love how you're asking questions about having a hard time sleeping. And then we have the Nine of Swords, which is like stressing, worrying, staying up late, not being able to sleep. I feel personally like the Nine of Swords and the Ace of Swords coming up is just so much being on your plate. And I'm wondering if there is a way for you to be able to initiate or maybe like learn like some breathing techniques. When I think of the swords, I think of air, I think of lungs, I think of Gemini and being able to breathe. I think of Libra and being able to balance. I think of Aquarius and being able to kind of have support. So at least with the 9 and the Ace, we have a 10. We have a completion. And maybe this is about getting into the habit of like learning a tapping technique or like a box breathing technique. So when you start to feel yourself getting anxious and not being able to settle, you have something that you can fall back on. The 9 of Swords is like, yeah, having stress, but it's over things that you cannot change, right? And so I wonder if you find that maybe there is some resistance to sleep because when you do try to go to sleep, you're worrying about things and you have motor brain. You know, can you come up with a routine prior to going to bed to help you with that process of winding down? Do you have a mantra? Do you meditate? Do you burn incense? Do you do some stretching, right? There's some big stuff coming as a you know, Leo rising. I mean, you're about to have an eclipse in your 10th house. So this is some big conclusion and completion in regards to like work. So I do feel like you're at the home stretch. It's not going to be much longer. I mean, the Chariot card is quite literally saying that it might mean that you need to be more proactive and taking time to emotionally unwind or going for a walk, going for a drive, you know, maybe saying I'm going to, you know, take the weekend and like go and do something so I can kind of rest and recuperate. Certainly for, you know, Gemini suns, this eclipse that's coming up in Taurus is very much about that. So when I put it together with your chart, it's taking time to wrap something up and rest and recuperate, but it's also from work. So it might mean that you're kind of saying to yourself, okay, you know, do I have some PTO that I haven't used? You know, is it worth cashing in on one of my sick days so I can take some time so I can kind of play catch up on sleep and get into a more kind of stable routine? To me, it's looking like next summer, this is not going to be the same lifestyle. Like it's going to pay off. You're going to move through it. But I think it's about developing the necessary coping skills and maybe exercises to kind of help you better deal with motor brain and recognize also that there may be some things that you're having to cut out of your life habit-wise that can potentially help you better manage your emotions and feel a little bit better grounded in the direction that things are going. Man, that Saturn square the sun, though, that's a difficult transit. And listen, like the Chariot's telling me that you're getting all your ducks in a row because you do have a plan moving forward. It feels a little chaotic right now, but maybe it's about being able to really set aside the time to properly unwind before you go to bed. And also creating more stability on the home space, which has not been the easiest thing for Gemini rising, for Gemini suns recently, having had a Mercury retrograde in Virgo. Anyway, South Node also coming up on your moon, being a Libra moon. That'll be a time where you're feeling like emotionally, there's like lots of moods coming up. Once again, balance, breathing, stretching. So I would go and learn about the South Node transit your moon because it can represent changes in your emotional behavior. Hopefully that's helpful. I've got Kimberly, Tina, Elaine, Michelle, and Kamari. Kimberly. Thanks, Rachel. I got you. Thanks, Trudy. Yeah, we called last call, Megan. Hopefully we can see you next time. All right, Kimberly, she says, are things over for good with the Virgo X? I'm a Scorpio sun, Sag rising, and moon, if this helps. All right, so Sag rising, Sag moon, Sun and Scorpio in the 12th house. You have got Sun, Mercury, Mars going into your 12th house. And Mercury rules your 7th. So for a lot of Sagittariuses, it's like getting some definitive answer about career or relationships as to whether or not they will move forward. So I feel inclined to tell you, watch my Sunday video that's coming out. I talk all about Mercury going into Scorpio and the conjunction between Mercury and Mars, there's an eclipse coming. That's the truth. When I think about your chart, all these planets in the 12th house, you're going to feel a little isolated. You're going to feel a little squirrely. But then you're going to have this eclipse at the end of the month in your 6th house, which is 12th to your 7th. So intuitively, the astrology seems to suggest that you're going to get your answer that a relationship is coming to a close. But let's see what the cards say. Let's see. So we've got 2 of Swords, the Moon card, the 10 of Coins. Now, to be honest with you, the 10 of Coins is a positive card. I think about how, you know, as a Scorpio sun, the eclipse in Taurus is going to be about big things revolving around relationships. But in the 6th house, it's going to be things that are out of balance, right? Oh, it's going to be in the 5th for you. Okay. 5th, matters of relationships, romance. You know, 2 of Swords in the Moon card makes me feel like if there's any question, because 2 of Swords can be like, are we not? Is this done here? I'm not sure. Is this done here? I'm not sure. The 10 of Coins can be a card that's like, look, there can be some completion that's coming. You know, usually the 10 of Cards is like, you know, maybe down the road, or, you know, maybe in a year, or maybe when you guys have both matured or grown up a little bit. But I don't really get that with the 10 of Coins. I get that it's about feeling solid and secure, knowing that it's done, wanting that confirmation. Are we really done now? You know, are we complete now? I would look back on what's happened the last like 6 to 8 weeks. Because if they're a Virgo and they had that Mercury retrograde in Virgo and it opposed Saturn and Neptune, there was a lot of Virgos who went through breakups because they were not communicating appropriately with their partners, and they were not telling them what they needed to hear, or they weren't communicating and, you know, working through problems. They were just kind of being evasive, right? A lot of partners of Virgos have been feeling that way because Saturn and Neptune's in their 7th. The 10 of Coins is like, are we good here? Are we done? Is this complete? Are we solid? And then the Star card is about being able to heal and like move forward from something. So if this has been a long-standing thing, yeah. If this has been a long-standing thing where you guys have been going back and forth, I feel like the 10 of Coins in the Star card is essentially saying like, watch for there to be a big completion. I think it's also talking about there being healing throughout the process as well. You know, 10 of Coins can be about making long-term plans, building to a certain point, hoping that you guys are getting the experiences that you need to be able to come back together. But I feel like the 2 of Swords and the Moon card is about like you being left, you know, like worrying about whether or not you're going to get it together. Like this is you that's going through it. You're not getting the support that you need in this. 10 of Coins can be like a long-term planning, financial, and family card, but I really kind of feel like this is saying maybe it's been a long time coming. Maybe in the back of your mind, you were like, okay, I thought we were going to end up together, or we were going to work through this and be able to get to the other side and be able to finally make it work. And if that's been your wish, I mean, like, look, you know, if you have to really come to terms with making a decision and saying, you know, I'm not really seeing any answer from you, or I'm not seeing a clear path forward. You know, are we working towards this or not? So be it. But I don't really feel like this is going to materialize as you guys being in a relationship. I feel like it's going to be this moment of an awareness and epiphany that's like, okay, that was my wish, but it's not going in that direction anymore. And like, I can't keep putting my life on hold or my long-term plans for somebody who's not giving me any clarity, right? And perhaps maybe the Moon card is saying, hey, if you need a literal confirmation that's like, watch what happens with the moon, that's going to be your answer. There's your response. Not all of the eclipses are going to materialize as breakups at all. But I think that if that was the case for you, then yeah, because it's 7th house to your sun. But even if the eclipse is in the 5th house, it's still picking up the energy of your 6th. And that's where a relationship that is not in balance, that is not giving to you equally, is coming to an end, which this is also suggesting. Because the 10 of Coins can be like, look, I know I need to move on with my life. I know I've got other things that are coming. I want to feel like I have stability. I want to feel like I can have some opportunity to build a life with somebody. And if you're not giving me that clarity, then I'm going to realize that literally on the full moon. It's going to become very apparent. Circle back. Leave us. Leave me a comment. I want to hear what happens with this one, because if there was gonna be a reconciliation, I would have imagined it either happened for you in May or this last month, and if it didn't, then yeah, then even more so. Good luck. We have Tina, who's an 11/29 Sagittarius, who says, I've been going through a lot of shit lately, both professionally and personally. Can't seem to catch a break. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Tina. Sounds like Saturn is doing its thing. Saturn in Pisces is definitely challenging on the home and emotional front. And you had a Mercury retrograde in your 10th house. So yeah, you've been getting it from all angles. My Saggies are in the moment of change right now, because you got a lot of planets that are going to move 12th house to your sun. And obviously, you know, Sagittarians are generally pretty positive, especially if you're a 9th house sun. But Aries rising and sun and moon in Sag, well, you're feeling the South Node eclipses in your 7th house, which is about relationships, and it's squaring Pluto, which is about work. So relationships with others in general feels like it's been a bit challenging, I would imagine. Let's see what the cards say for you about direction and guidance moving forward. You're welcome, Kim. Here we go. So we've got the 7 of Coins, 6 of Wands, Knight of Pentacles. There's a lot of like picking yourself back up and dusting yourself off with this spread. So it does have me optimistic that you're going to be able to persevere. But the 7 of Coins and in the first position, I think is really trying to get you to think about how much time you're spending doing certain things. How much time are you spending worrying about something? How much time are you wasting on certain situations, on certain people? There can be a sense of you questioning, like, is this a good investment, right? 7 of Coins can be literally investments, relationships, you know, investments into relationships with others in general, friends, clients, work. And there can also be a sense of like not wanting to be in a position of questioning whether or not things are going to work out, or questioning whether or not, you know, your hard work is going to yield results. Then we have the center card, which is the 6 of Wands, which is about being well received. This is about celebrating something. This is about like a comeback or a homecoming. This can be a card that's also about, you know, people celebrating you or cheering you on or championing you in some way. I'll just say that Sagittarius season, I think, is going to be quite positive. You're going to have, you know, Venus and Mercury and Mars all going through Sagittarius. So it's going to be going through your 9th house, and it's going to be making trines to your ascendant. So that can mean that you turn over a new leaf and you have a different perspective, and you're like, okay, that stuff happened, but it had to get cleared out. It can mean that you're traveling or that you're connecting with people in other places. So the 6 of Wands could literally mean that people are, you know, anticipating connecting with you, spending time with you, seeing you. This is also about being able to, you know, get people to work with you. So you'll see, especially come the end of the year, as you have a Mercury retrograde that's going to be taking place from Capricorn to Sagittarius, you know, mid-December through January is going to be about, well, you know, do I still want to work here? Do I still enjoy this? Am I going to stay in this place? Am I going to make a change? So you definitely have the opportunity to still reassess the situation later in the year. I think the Knight of Coins coming up is also saying that you're not doing anything crazy. Like, for being somebody who's like a triple fire sign, I kind of feel like some of the transits are really probably trying to get you to think about, you know, being cautious and taking time before you make any moves. I mean, thank God that there's planets in earth signs right now. That's probably what's keeping you grounded, to be honest with you. So you got to think about having Jupiter and Uranus in your 2nd house where, you know, funds are important. You got to think about Pluto in your 10th house where it's all about major powerful changes in your career. There's no doubt that there's definitely going to be some changes either financially or on the professional realm. But right now, it seems to me like you're kind of looking at everything that's fallen away and you're like, okay, I'm going to clear this away now. I'm going to focus more on like where I can actually have forward motion. And maybe rearranging some of your focus into, you know, investing more in yourself, focusing more on your career, focusing more on your health, is going to have you being more careful in regards to who you're letting into your space, who you're letting into your free time. I just think as, you know, Aries risings have really, really been going through it the last couple of months, but probably a close second to that would be the mutable sign. So you're kind of getting it both ways. I promise you that you're going to get about 6 weeks down the road, and as we're getting into Sagittarius season, you're going to realize, like, okay, you know, everything that happened was more about cleaning house. And not everybody's out to get you. You know, relationships will get a lot easier for you next year, but I think this is going to be stemming more from you looking at things going like, okay, I cannot keep wasting my time on people or situations that are not actually, you know, celebrating me or working with me or encouraging me. You're moving away from some of these situations. So this is a time where you're looking ahead about 6 to 8 weeks and reinvesting in yourself, and you're going to see that this hard work is definitely going to pay off. Definitely. Confirmation cards, 10 of Cups. So you're going to be feeling pretty stoked with some of the changes that you made. Looks like it's been a lot of like taking the trash out. Taking the trash out. All right, so we have Elaine, Michelle, and then Kamari. What's up, Ashley? Elaine says, hey, Candace, you're my favorite astrologer. Well, thank you. Virgo sun, Capricorn moon, Cancer rising, Virgo Venus, Saturn and Pisces conjunct MC in the 9th, Mars conjunct North Node. My first Saturn return is about March of 2025, so I'm preparing. Long story short, I decided to get back to university to finish a degree after I found out I am a thing for counseling and psychotherapy. One hurdle and reality check, I felt so discouraged as the goalpost in graduate seems further away than I first thought in fall of 2022. I have my own background in astrological consultation in the past, but I had to take steps back since the pandemic. My question is for the reading is how my Saturn return will somewhat turn out. I feel like I already know the answer, so I was hesitant in getting a reading, but I think it's nice to get some feedback. I hope to have graduated my undergrad, maybe have a master's in 2027 at age 32, and really get on with my life and make money. Very discouraged and still living at home, better financially until and then it cuts off. So I'm going to assume until you get this going, yeah? What's up, Elaine? It's nice to see you again. All right, so here's the deal, okay, with tarot and all that stuff aside. You can, but you can't really plan for your Saturn's return. You can, but you can't. So even somebody who knows a lot about astrology, or if you practice astrology and you know the house and the degree and the aspects to your Saturn, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And like, I would encourage you not to look forward into the future with like dread. Because Saturn can actually be really helpful, especially if Saturn is the ruler of your moon. And Saturn is also going to be apparently, you know, going through your 9th house, which is going to be about completing your education. So if your Saturn is placed in the 9th house anyway, something about your faith and your education go hand in hand, and it'll probably be about a really significant teacher or maybe a mentor. It could be about a significant relationship because Saturn rules your 9th house, your 7th house. And it's great that that's about like going to school for like counseling and all of that stuff. So it does seem like it does kind of fall in line. The second thing I would say also is that you got to think about 2025 and how your Saturn return is going to coincide with a Neptune transit. So it's not just your Saturn return. It sounds like you're going to have your Saturn return while Neptune is in conjunction to your Saturn, right? So it's not just about coming back home to yourself and that karma. It's also going to be about how Neptune is coming in saying there needs to be both a dissolving of one structure and the beginning of another. So that's going to happen at the same time. So it's a little different than a normal Saturn return. And if you learn about the Saturn-Neptune cycles, if you go back and you look at them through time, it's where we dissolve something, and anything revolving around what is not going to bring you stability, something else kind of comes in, right? Yeah, and the collective nodes and the eclipses. So a part of me feels inclined to tell you that while you're going to school and you're doing this, you may be in school and there may be like sudden things that happen unexpectedly where there's changes to curriculums and there's changes to certifications and training, and there might be things where you could complete sooner, or there might be other directions that you go in. So you got to kind of keep your eyes open for that, right? Okay. And you know, if you have a 7th house moon, it's great that you're potentially helping people work through emotional things. It's really great, especially for having clients, because it helps kind of give the chart what it's looking for. It wants to cycle through people, so it'll actually create a lot more stability in your love life than it will in, you know, with clients. Okay, so we have, in regards to your question about how this is all going to go, 10 of Wands, Page of Swords, and the 2 of Swords. So I'm kind of wondering, confirmation is the Chariot card. I'm kind of wondering, like, is there a sense where you're questioning whether or not this is all going to pay off? Have you also been considering or contemplating going and doing some of this training in another fashion or in another place? Even though they say Cat Moon may be too cold for that. Well, maybe not. It's definitely good for somebody who can work through issues with other people. I wonder with that 10 of Wands and the Page of Swords has been you like questioning like, okay, am I going to get to the end? And then like, is this really going to be what I want to do? Or is it going to be worth it? Or, you know, would it be easier if I went another path? Or do I need to potentially like, you know, consider going to school in another place? There's some really cool stuff happening now, you know, that wasn't around when I was younger. I mean, now people are going and getting like their masters or, you know, bachelors and like metaphysical like degrees, stuff that they did not have 10 years ago. So there might be a lot that changes before you graduate. And there may be a way for you to be able to kind of fuse the two together. Your Saturn return is going to give you the opportunity to really commit to what your belief is about relationships to other people. And so I don't think that this is just about your education or your career. I think it quite literally might be about, who knows, you might decide that you want to transfer for school and then you end up meeting somebody and then there's like a whole relationship tied to it. It might have you reconsidering the path of where you're going anyway. That might be part of what you're going to end up doing. But with that Page of Swords coming up, you know, what it looks like for me is that you're going to be learning something new. And I don't even think this is just so much about, you know, education. I think this is going to be about you learning that you can change your mind, that you can shift gears, that you can decide to go in a different direction, that maybe you thought you wanted to do one thing and you decide to do something else. Maybe you thought you knew it all and then you realize you have a teacher or a mentor or a coach that comes in that teaches you a completely different way of looking at things. I do think that Saturn and Neptune meeting in your 9th house may be a complete dissolving and then a reawakening to what it means to get a degree. And so it is possible that it could be getting a degree in counseling, but it might have other things in it. It might have hypnosis. It might have regression. It might be stuff that's also more working with spirituality or like religion because it is moving through Pisces. So that 2 of Swords being the final card is kind of indicating that so much of your Saturn return is also going to be about being able to change your mind or go in a different direction, which Pisces is. It's mutable. So there's going to be some opportunity for you to be able to maybe make a shift. I do think that something else I would say is like, oh, I'm reading this now. I want to fuse my counseling license with astrology one day and maybe make money from streaming stuff on the side because I'm into media. Okay, cool. I do think that I would say it's kind of cool that you're going into it and you have Saturn in the 9th and you're going and you're completing, you know, a higher level of education. So good for you on that. But there's also sometimes, at least I've noticed with Saturn-Neptune conjunctions or sometimes with Pisces aspects, that there's like what spirit wants or like what your higher self wants or like what your soul purpose is. I don't have Saturn in Pisces, but I have Saturn exactly conjunct Neptune. And I think about when I went through my Saturn return, I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do astrology anymore. I give up. I'm going back to the drawing board. Like I didn't want to do it. And that's when I completely got off YouTube, is because I was like, I check out. So what was funny is that in the process of that year of doing my Saturn and Neptune work and being like, I don't want to do this, I took a huge step back from it. I didn't do any media. I didn't want to talk to anybody about it. I was just taking the bare necessities of my reoccurring clients to get by, and I was trying to come up with a plan B. I kind of fell back in love with astrology. I started finding that I was going back to my old books. I did a lot of meetings with one of my really good mentors, one of my teachers, and basically was like, I throw in the towel, and just kept meeting with that person. And I kept going back to what I loved about astrology and reading things and studying things. And then that brought me back. So sometimes the Saturn return can give you, especially with a Neptune aspect, a little bit of doubt. But then there's this sense of that's like, no, this is what I'm meant to do. So stay open to make changes, be willing to overcome some of the obstacles, know that it looks like you're going to be learning things that you didn't know that you wanted or that you believed in. And it's going to help you come up with a plan to be able to strategize. I think then making some bigger moves, because right after that Saturn return, girl, you got Neptune and Saturn going into the 10th house. So you're going to be initiating a new career that you're going to have to do on your own. And it's going to be brand new. It's going to be something completely different, because Aries is something that is born out of nothing. So stay with it, stay on the path. Definitely maybe go and learn a little bit more about Saturn and Neptune coming into conjunction, not just the Saturn transit. Okay, and yeah, go and get a return before your Saturn return. I think about my Saturn return reading, and it was fucking horrible. It was so bad. Maybe it was the astrologer that I went to. I went to an evolutionary astrologer, but and she's a really, really famous astrologer too. So I hate saying that, but it was a really, really difficult reading for me, because she was just like, yeah, you're going to be like really lonely, and this is going to be like terrible, and these are all the things that are going to happen to you. So be selective with who you go to talk to about your Saturn return reading, because if you go into it with that mindset, it can be much more difficult. And while I was in it, it was totally fucking horrible. But at the same time, I think that it was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because of all the things that changed. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now, but hopefully that's helpful for you. Here we've got Michelle and then Kamari. All right, so Michelle says, I still struggle with a breakup from 2 years ago. Just when I feel like I'm okay and moving on, I get hit with the sorrow and sadness, needing clarity. It was really complicated. All right, well, let's talk about it. Let's see what the cards have to say for you, Michelle. 2 years after a breakup. What does she need to know? Where are these feelings coming from? In this order: 3 of Wands, 4 of Swords, the Emperor. Well, interesting stuff. I mean, here's the thing. At the very least, I think looking at the end of these cards, there does seem to be an indication that there is an overcoming, mastering, getting over, taking your power back, being able to feel more so in charge vibe. Right now, it's kind of wonky, because you've got the moving on card and the overcoming card sandwiched between the right now, which is the 4 of Swords. You know, I think personally that 4 of Swords in the center is saying that there is more of a need to, you know, really take a step back and like allow the grieving process to do its thing, because 4 of Swords can be about rest, recuperation, you know, letting something kind of heal on its own. This can also be about like the grieving process. This is a card that sometimes comes up with like funerals. This is a card that comes up sometimes when people are rehabbing a situation. I wonder if this is something that you could be working with in a subconscious way, like doing some like regression work or some meditation or some hypnosis, something that's going to be working with your subconscious kind of self. 3 of Wands is about the process of like getting up and moving on. Sometimes this is just like moving around, right? And staying active and being able to be more optimistic. And maybe you feel like, you know, you have your good days and your bad days. You have, you know, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. I think that the 3 of Wands can be about coming up with a solution and a plan moving forward and thinking that you're just going to move on. And then the 4 of Swords is like, oh no, the healing is not linear. It's not like, okay, I take 6 months to rest, recuperate, and recover, and then I'm good. It's like, okay, I'm doing great. And then it's like, no, now I'm needing to take time to kind of reflect and reassess where I've been. Intuitively, I feel like, has there been a tendency in previous relationships to be moving forward onto the next thing, not ever really fully healing from previous issues? And so is there some sense of there being like a compoundment of relationships that haven't worked, and grief, and not knowing how to, process being alone, and like now it's just like all kind of coming up at one time? Because the Four of Swords can talk about things that have been dormant, or things that have been kind of hiding beneath the surface, that's just now suddenly you're becoming aware of. I think of like the Emperor card coming up as like taking your power back, being able to feel like you're in control of your destiny, feeling like you have a say in, moving forward. This can be about getting a coach. This can be about getting a trainer. This can be about, getting somebody who's going to like hold you accountable for some of the changes that you're potentially making. I also feel like this might be about like Mars transits. And, right now the North Node's in Aries, so it's about, asserting ourselves, taking action, initiating new things. But all these planets, including Mars, are moving into Scorpio. So it means that some of us are going to have to look at, well, what's not working? What doesn't feel good? Where am I getting stuck? And like holding ourselves accountable for not doing the detoxing, right? Not doing the clearing out of the trash, or getting rid of like all the funk that's kind of hanging around. I wonder, like, would you benefit from an accountability coach, right? So maybe that would be helpful for you as you kind of go through this, where maybe there's prompts that you work on, or maybe you're focusing on creating a routine where you're getting up and you're sticking to a routine consistently. So you're finding ways to be able to adopt new habits so you're not kind of falling back into the doom and gloom. Will you move forward? Yeah, but I also feel like I feel inclined to tell you that on the other side of this, like once you decide that you're ready to heal and move forward, yeah, that's what I thought. There's another, like, there's almost kind of like another person that's kind of waiting, so you may not realize that. And I was almost hesitant to tell you, because I don't want this to be like the carrot that's like dangling, trying to get you to do the work. But, sometimes the Emperor is like the person, right? There is like that person that's coming, that may be the person that you stick with. That might be somebody who's got it together. When I pull tarot, like I would like to pull, King of Pentacles or the Emperor, because I feel like these are the more evolved masculine figures in the deck. The Emperor is going to trump all the kings. He's got all of the elements combined into one. I have a theory that it's like the evolved like Fool, or Magician. We just don't really know that, because the cycle of the major arcana is always like rotating. But the Emperor is somebody who's really got their shit together and is grown and mature and ready. And that can be you. It can be symbolizing you. But I feel like with the confirmation card of the Ace of Cups is saying like there's another person in waiting. As soon as you decide that you're ready to realize, that you deserve better, or that you're better off, without that relationship, or that you are complete without that person, there is this gift that you're going to get that you don't see yet of a new potential relationship, but it's only when you decide to move on. So once you move forward, I do think that you're going to end up meeting somebody new who has the potential to be a better long-term partnership for you, but you have to see that and be willing to move forward first. Okay, so maybe that's a little incentive to get you there, but I can definitely see that that's kind of what's coming. And you may find yourself in a situation where this person comes in and then you have this other relationship and you're like, why did I spend 2 years not being able to overcome like that person? Maybe that was the last big relationship that you were going to have, that you had to work through prior to the one that's going to stick. Anyway, hopefully that's helpful for you. Let's see. We've got Kamari. Astrid says, will this be saved? I wasn't able to listen to mine. Yeah, it will be saved. You'll have to go back and find it. All right, let's take a look here. So Kamari says, hey Candace, any guidance on career would be helpful. I'm a Taurus rising, moon, Sag sun. Wowzers. So here we go with this eclipse coming in your sign. For Sages, it's about job changes or schedule changes. For Tauruses, it's about breaking free. So which is it? Is it about you breaking free, working for yourself, being more independent? Maybe. Let's take a look. Let's see what these cards say. This is for Kamari on career advice. All right, this was the order. Pa, pa, pa. He's back. You guys saw me shuffle that deck. We've seen Ten of Swords a couple times, but the Emperor popped back in here as well. So when I think of the Emperor for you, obviously job and work stuff, but I also think about Mars and, you know, how Mars is going into Scorpio, Sun is going into Scorpio, Mercury is going to be in Scorpio, all in your 7th house. So that brings a lot of attention to other people, people who you potentially work with, partner with, right? And so there's going to be potential friction coming up with other people in the transits throughout this next month or so. The Emperor is about making big decisions for you, but it can be also about your relationship to a boss or a parent or somebody who's like a superior of some kind. I think the Emperor in the current position is talking about kind of realizing your own personal value, your own personal power, what you're capable of achieving, what you're able to get done. And then the Four of Wands is talking about your goals. And so maybe in some ways there's a sense of being like, okay, I know what I'm hoping to complete. I know what I want professionally. I know maybe that I'm in a temporary space. Four of Wands, although it's a positive card, you hear this is the wedding card, the celebration card, the party card. This is like a pop-up situation, right? They throw the poles up, they have a party, and then they can move on. So this is a temporary space. So it may mean that you're in a situation career-wise where you're like, where I'm at right now is not where I'm staying. It's great for right now, but I know that inevitably that a change is coming. Ten of Swords. I think for like Taurus risings, you know, I think about Pluto going into your 10th house in the new year. I think about maybe Pluto having been there this year was like that kind of like preview that's like, hey, you're way bigger and better than what you're currently doing. Like a change is coming, and really feeling that and feeling the restlessness. I think of Jupiter and Uranus in your sign. And so Pluto's coming back right now. It's going to be there in a couple months' time. So you're really going to see, especially in the spring of 2024, some huge shift that's going to be happening for you in regards to your career. There we go. There she is. I left my corporate job. I'm in my Uranus opposition. Like it. So that means that you're having the opposition. I'm going to assume it's either in your 6th house or on the cusp of your 7th. So it's about challenges with others. Like, look, here's the deal. If what has happened is that you ended something, so be it. Leave it behind. Because to me, it seems as if you're realizing that it is possible for you to create something. It may take a little bit of time to get it stabilized, or it may take a little bit of time to find it. But it looks like you're realizing that it is possible for you to initiate something where you feel like you have more control or you have more success. It's really hard when you have Uranus coming into your 1st house to not just absolutely positively need freedom, right? It's just part of the course. That's what happens. And I think about how if you are a Taurus rising, you know, you had the Saturn-Uranus square that was taking place 2020, 2021, 2022. So there was a lot of wanting to break free, and now it's finally happening, now that you're in your Uranus opposition. You're going to want to look at your transits to your natal Saturn as well, because that's going to be the traditional ruler of your 10th house. But all in all, I think about how, you know, Saturn in Pisces for you in your 11th house is sextiling Jupiter, bringing you opportunities to kind of fly, you know, and go your own way, whether that's working for yourself or finding a new gig or, you know, aligning with a group of people who you can network with, who can help you professionally. It's about letting whatever happened be done and really focusing on being in the driver's seat and reminding yourself that you're in a temporary space right now. Work things happen when you see transits either through your 10th house or aspects to your 10th house. So you're going to be seeing more of that. That's going to be taking place, you know, when you see trines taking place there. So obviously Libra, you know, Gemini and Aquarius transits will bring that. Natal Saturn is in the Virgo 5th. So you're in your Saturn opposition too. Saturn opposition and Uranus opposition at the same time. So it's really doubling down saying like, yeah, you need other people. Saturn going through your 11th house in opposition to your 5th house is saying it's about unions, group, professional networking, joining a larger company or institution. The 11th house can be about big companies. So if you have Saturn in the 5th, it's saying you're not going to be able to do it by yourself. You're going to need you're going to need the support of a collective group to be able to initiate some kind of change. But I believe personally that if you're getting ready to have this eclipse, it's about kind of embracing this new version of change in your life. And yeah, it creates some friction with work and also with relationships, but it's keeping life exciting and it's giving you the opportunity to be able to have more freedom. But right now, it's about allowing things to kind of come to a close. And I think you're still going to be feeling that, quite honestly, really all the way up until the beginning of November, because this eclipse is also going to be, you know, doing its thing. The eclipse is still technically kind of squaring Pluto. It's an out of sign square, but it's within about 5 or 6 degrees. So it's still kind of knocking out Pluto in your 9th, going into your 10th house, radically changing and transforming the way that you look at work and possibly allowing you to have the opportunity to travel or learn something new. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful for you. I saw a Stacey Edwards come in here a couple times. I'm not sure who this is, but I just figured I would mention this so I can let you know that I will be sending you a refund for your payments. It looks like we missed the cutoff just basically, but hopefully we can see you next week for astrology. All right. Well, I'm pretty sure that's everybody. Thank you to those of you guys who decided to hang out with me on Friday night. I appreciate it. We'll be back here. Don't forget, make a note. Next Friday is going to be astrology, and it's going to be before the lunar eclipse. So if you guys want to get a lunar eclipse reading, or if you're a level 3 person and you want to cash in on your reading next week, I'll be here 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Friday night, we're going to do astrology readings, and I'll post the link early on my community tab, so if you guys want to sign up for it, because the astrology ones can be rather long. And no, I will not be reading on the eclipse. Both of these eclipses are so gnarly for me. One opposes my moon, the next one opposes my Mars, so I don't read on eclipses, but I'll be reading on Friday, so it'll be right before the eclipse. And I'll give you guys my 2 cents on whatever's going on in your chart. There are November horoscopes that are out. There's also a lunar eclipse video that's out. So if you want to know what the lunar eclipse has in store for you, what next month looks like, check out those videos. I'll be back here on Sunday for astro weather. We're going to talk all about Mercury going into Scorpio and much, much more. So if you guys haven't already, please give me a thumbs up, like this stream. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for your likes, your comments, and your shares. And for hanging out with me on a Friday night. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you guys back here soon. Take care.